they start connecting to the different platforms there.
Do you use? You don't use Restream. You just go to Twitch.
Yeah, I don't use. Yeah, I only one at a time.
This worked well last time. It was our first time trying it last weekend.
Yeah, Restream works. It's for sure it works.
And Mitchell, if you'll share it right when we go live, that'd be cool. Do that. Does it usually take that long?
It didn't take that long last time.
Of course.
Yeah. I want to check the volume on this.
What's wrong? 'Cause we like to dance to our own kind of song. We never needed no money, just some peace and some time. We can change this world with some reason and rhyme.
Yeah, we're good.
And get all
All right.
All right. We are good. Episode 2 underway. Thanks, Chip, for being here. Thanks. We got an unemployed manager of Planet Teletubby over here joining us. And we got Mr. Diggs Darcy coming on today. Drove all the way over here to be on this $1 million podcast. Thanks for being here. Shit, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Episode 2. We are too deep in what's going to be probably 10,000 episodes, right, Mitchell?
Yes.
Yeah. Diggs, what's been up, man? What you been doing? You got any gigs yet? Got any gigs?
Yeah, I'm running at half capacity, pretty much. If I get to work once a week, then that's great. If I get to work more than that, it's fantastic. But since March, it was like 2 or 3 months of nothing, just staying at home and doing the Facebook Live thing. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And catching donations and selling T-shirts online.
Is it picking up?
It's picking up a little bit. It really picked up really well until they did the 11 o'clock thing. When they shut down the bars at 11 o'clock, that's when everything kind of like people, if they can't have late night live music, then they'd rather not do it at all some places.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Jesus Christ.
but surprisingly enough, the people that are letting it go on earlier, there's a crowd out there. Like last night I was at Lucy's on the Retired Surf
Yeah.
and Biloxi, and they were packed. Like all night they were packed. So, and then Friday night I was off, so I went downtown Gulfport and wandered around, and it was packed downtown. And like pre-corona, it wasn't. You know, there was no reason not to go out, and people weren't doing it. And now that I guess you can't go anywhere, they're like, watch this. So
Yeah.
But it's creeping back. The season's almost over with, though. You know, like I missed out on the busiest part of my seasons.
But when this thing, when we get going, when shit really opens up, it don't matter what time of the year it is because people are ready to get out and rage.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Holy shit, dude. This is going to be nuts.
Especially after
Yeah.
everybody gets their income tax money in.
Yeah. Yeah, they get the income tax money. We get another stimulus check. Trump solves this problem we got. Gets in the
Wait,
lab.
you
know?
guys got a stimulus check?
Shit
I didn't get one of those.
Be time to rage.
Dude, it's going to be nuts when it opens back up, I think.
But I mean, you know, like for me, it's a lot different because of the venues that I play at and the type of music that I play. For like everybody else that's out there doing like the original music and stuff, you guys are screwed.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nowhere to go. You got one bar now, and that's the hot spot that I know of. If there's anybody else
Wow.
that are having original bands, I can't think of any.
No. None. Now everybody's turning to streaming. In New Orleans, there's a couple of spots. The Art Garage is doing it. The Cajun Gumbo, is that what it's called? They're doing live stream events. Twisted Lime is doing live stream stuff.
Really?
Yeah, they're doing all kind of, and it's great. Sounds really good. There's another radio station doing live stream stuff too. I forget their name, but they just played there. We played them on the Frets for Pets podcast, and it sounded incredible. And they had all kind of multi-camera angles. Everything was HD. It was nice.
Yeah.
I'm doing that. I'm trying to do that here,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know how it's going to work out.
It's an art form. It's a science.
It is.
It's an engineering
It's
project.
especially live. Like, it's really hard to do live.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a process.
I mean, hell, we're just doing a little simple podcast, and we're pulling our hair out trying to get this stuff set up. This stuff's complicated as shit.
That's no lie.
It's just a lot of wires.
It is. Yeah, my dad was in here earlier, and he's like, "Why shouldn't y'all have wireless by now? Like, we got a rover on the moon, and y'all got 50,000." I was like, "You got a point."
What is this
Like,
mess?
Yeah, he's like, "What is this poor people stuff? You got wires running everywhere."
Well, as unreliable as wires are, they're more reliable than wireless.
Yeah, every day.
I agree with that.
So, Diggs, you were mentioning the original music, and we all know you from, or we all know you as Ray Ray from Superstar Fat Beat. That's kind of where all of our paths,
That's
crossed with you. And well, I was hoping we could get a little bit into your music timeline at the beginning of the show tonight.
Okay.
I mean, because
How far back are we going?
How far back you want to go, buddy?
Follow-up question. When is Murder Intentions getting back together?
Oh
That's
my
what I want.
gosh, there's a name I haven't heard. I haven't heard that name in.
Me and my buddy, funny story. Me and my buddy, we got a tank of Taka vodka one night, and we were down in the vodka in the car and raging, smoking cigarettes. So we were cool. This is a long time ago. And we stumble into Kirk's, and we see this guy with long, I think he had dreads. I had some dreads.
Yeah.
Flying V guitar, correct me if
Yeah.
I'm wrong. Flying
Oh,
V
yeah.
guitar, full stack. I forget, was it a Marshall full stack?
No, it was a crate, I'm sure.
Okay, yep, crate, because everybody used the crates back then, the solid state crates to get those that classic death metal sound.
That bleeding ear. So.
Oh yeah, that was my first half stack amp.
Yeah, and me and Chris were like, dude, look at this band. Like,
Cranked
they're
up.
gonna be brutal. And we asked somebody like, what's the name of this band? They're like, oh, dude, that's Murder Intentions. We're like, fuck. We got so excited.
Oh. The funny thing about Murder Intentions is in '96 is when I started playing in metal bands on the coast here, and I was with Feed, with Kerry Thibodeau, Lee Thibodeau, Josh Ross, and Mike Philpott, and I was a replacement guitar player in that. And around '99 or so, when I had exited that band, I had started another small band for just a minute, and it wasn't metal; it was more of a rock and roll kind of unit, and hell, I couldn't even tell you the name of the band anymore. But I had Dax Riggs had just broke out with Agents of Oblivion.
Yeah, I remember that.
And the album had dropped, and they did that short little tour, and they played at, what was it called back on 49? Kirk's House of Rock.
House of Rock.
Yeah.
Kirk's House of Rock.
North Gulfport.
Yep. And I caught wind that Agents had booked there, and I was like, I'm going to open up for them.
Wow.
So, like, I grabbed two other people, and we made a band, and we wrote a 30-minute set list within, like, 2 weeks, and we played that show, and then I was like, all right, I'm moving to Memphis, guys.
Wow.
And I left for Memphis, and I was up there for over a year or so, and I was pretty stagnant with playing music, and the day I got back from Memphis, when I decided to come back to the coast, I came in, and I went and hooked up with my buddy Josh Ross, and we were sitting around drinking beers, and he was like, hey, man, come on by the Pit. You guys remember the Pit, isn't it, right? It's a pretty...
Pit.
The Pit was the...
the jam space,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Ah,
The Pit.
Yeah.
The storage space.
No, the upstairs apartment type thing. It was a history back into the early '90s when another metal guy had opened it up as a underground, like, what did they call them back in the day? A rave, or like pre-rave
Yeah.
days, pre-rave dance days or whatever. And they had shows in there. And then when the metalheads took it over, Vinnie Moriali was the one that was his apartment. And then we just started throwing all the bands in there. So I come back from Memphis and come down, check out my new group, man. It's Murder Intentions, man. You'll love it. It's like, all right. So I get there. I watch them play a few songs, and they're like, all right, we're going to take a break, man. Drinking. I was like, all right, cool. And they were like, all right, so what do you think? And I was like, it's really cool, man. They were like, all right, where's your gear? I was like, what do you mean? They were like, we need another guitar player, man. You're back in town. I was like, dude, I haven't even been back 24 hours yet. You want me to start learning songs? And they were like, yeah. It was like 3 weeks later, we were playing shows. And
Right back in it.
right, yeah. It was it was good times. It was good times because that was
Mm-hmm.
who all was in that? Chris Huff,
Yeah.
Todd, Josh, me. Oh my God, why am I missing my buddy's name now? The other guitar player, Chris Lyons. Not Chris Lyons, Tim Lyons.
Should have worn my Feed shirt. I knew I should have worn it.
So
dude.
so Feed was your first functional full-time band,
Yes, yeah.
and then it went to. I know you said there's a little side rock and roll thing, but then
Yeah.
your next
Next one would have been Murder Intentions.
murders, and,
Yeah.
and then how long did that last?
Ooh, that was a year or two at least.
Mm-hmm.
At least a couple of years, because we did a lot of shows. We played with Goat Horn, we played with Soylent Green, and I don't know.
That's good
it's
stuff.
hazy, man. It is so hazy because like back in those days, like I didn't drive. I wasn't responsible, so I didn't drive. I did a lot of things that would make me. No one would want me to drive. So I just went out and partied, and I played my parts. And like
Yeah.
a quick feed story of how I got started. It was there was a Twisters in Mobile, the old strip club,
Mm-hmm.
and before midnight they would let bands play there, and at midnight the girls would take over. Well, we'd go over there and play, and the first thing I'd do before our 30-minute set is get a 6-pack of Rolling Rock, set it on the stage, and by the time we got done with our 30-minute set and got our gear off, it was empty. And then we'd go in the back and start slamming whiskey. So by the time the last band got done, they were pulling me out of the alley and putting me in the van to go home. And that went on for years, like until finally I got sick. And I straightened my act up.
So I remember Feed playing at the coffee house in Gulfport.
Wojo's.
At were you in it
Yes,
at that
yes.
time? Okay, so then
That
I-
was supposed
saw
to be
you
the
then.
Crowbar
Yeah.
show, and Crowbar didn't show up. Yeah, that was good times there.
Wow.
Didn't we get thrown out that night?
Crowbar.
I
damn.
remember it being intensely fucking loud.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, those
yeah.
shows were back. Yeah.
I was like, I want to be that loud.
For some reason, I think that was our first time and our last time there, and I think they asked us to leave. And I think they,
But they had
Too much.
Yeah, they had everybody under the sun play there. I mean, it was like a variety of bands. I mean, it was like the Wild Wild West. Like it didn't matter what you fucking play. They're like, yeah, fucking come on if you can
Yeah.
bring people in. I mean, I was like in high school and I had some, fucking high school band playing fucking Dave Matthews bullshit in there to fucking half of Biloxi High, and
Oh, you remember the band that used to play there, Sofa Kingdom?
yeah, I do.
You remember
I
the
do.
bass player was Lacey,
Yeah,
who was the singer for Flyleaf?
I don't remember that part.
They're radio now. She done went out and like made it like out of everybody.
Oh,
She was
yeah.
like the little quiet,
Yeah.
crappy little bass player, and then she goes and becomes a.
They're a big deal.
The guitarist, what was his name? Dustin, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I remember I saw him not too long ago at when Crooked Letter was still
Uh-huh.
in Ocean Springs down there. I saw him there one night, and I was like, man, I recognize that guy from somewhere. And then I like saw him talking to a bunch of Gulfport. I was like, oh, it's the fucking Self Kingdom guy. Had to jog the old memory. But yeah, I remember seeing Feed and I was like, this is brutal. I mean, this is just so fucking, crazy.
Well, and really all we played at that time was the JC Hall in Biloxi. We'd rent that out,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where we had our shows. And that was, we didn't play any bars until Kurt got us in at Pat and Nick's. And then once that started, then it was like, all right, here we go. We're graduating, boys. We're moving up in the world. We're getting out of the JC and VFW halls, and we're moving into bars.
Yeah, yeah.
And what was funny, it was like 96. I was 20 years old, and we started playing these bars, and then we'd go over to New Orleans, and of course the drinking age was 18. So we'd rather play over there, or I would rather play over there.
Yeah.
And man, we were just it was a stupid party lifestyle that we were living. We didn't. I had a job. I mean, because I worked for a landscaping company, and every week I would take my check, cut it in half, and bring Jim Pinkston half of it,
Mhm.
and then walk out of the store with something.
Heck yeah.
And
What-
I
I know how that is.
I remember first going to like the little DIY punk shows after we moved back, and I remember seeing a lot of Feed shirts. So you guys obviously made that impression, I mean, y'all sold obviously a shit ton of shirts during your time.
Yeah.
Because everybody always had somebody had a fucking feed shirt on.
That was a cool shirt.
Yeah, almost like and he still fucking has one.
Yeah,
Dude.
I've seen him wear it many
I
a
stole
years.
one of Chris's. He still hates me for that shit. One of the which Thibodeau designed those shirts? I
It
forget.
was probably Carrie.
Because I was at the Trax Bar,
Mm-hmm.
Long Beach. Before all this, I think some death metal bands were playing, and like 6, 7 dudes that I had no clue who they were. They're like, dude, where'd you get that shirt? And then some girl came and said her ex designed that shirt. Where did you get that shirt? And I'm like, why do you care? Well, who's your ex? Blah, blah.
Got it at the Goodwill for 99 cents.
Yeah.
So where do you go after Murderous Intentions?
Murder intentions.
Murder Intentions.
After that, we went into love and marriage. I got married. That's when we met. Really, about that time, that's when we knew exactly who each other were. Kid, had a kid, and I just played guitar in the back room. And that's not entirely true. Eddie Stackhouse, he was the guy that replaced me in Feed. Actually, we were really good friends, and we would get together and jam just guitar stuff. And we made it a point, like, just sitting in this room and, like, writing the most mathematical freaking crazy guitar riffs that we could ever think of, and having 2 different guitar lines going, and it's like, oh, yeah. And we had all this together, and then we played with a couple of drummers, and they would, like, start to play, and then they'd be like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah.
So we never made it to a drummer part, much less a bass player part or a singer part. So we had a good chunk of material that just like went to waste, and I couldn't tell you anything about it now. But and then that's when Katrina hit, and I had my gear at a warehouse that we were jamming in, and it got wasted. All of it. I lost everything. Well, except for my guitars. I had my guitars with me.
A lot of bands went through that. I remember. I know the band I was in at the time, Love Stories In, same thing.
Yeah.
Storage shed.
Oh,
Yeah,
y'all
all
got
that stuff
flooded
in the
out? I
shed.
didn't know that.
Yeah, I think we had most of our stuff out of there, though, if I remember correctly. But I do remember some stuff someone lost some stuff.
Was that in
it
Gulf-
might have been like the PA and stuff that we had in there.
In
practice.
Gulfport?
It was at the practice sheds. Yeah, and
Right there?
By Cal and Lorraine?
Yeah.
Holy crap! Yeah, it's the same spot. Yeah, because
Yeah.
you had Feed, Sedative,
Yeah.
Kiss the Cop, and
Kiss the Cop was
Other
right
people-
next to
yeah.
us. Love Stories In practice there. And, yeah,
it was sad.
that was great times though in those storage sheds.
Yeah,
It was a little
Fun
storage
fact,
shed
though,
community.
Fun fact: there was one cabinet that did survive that was actually made its introduction into Superstar Fat Beat when I first got into that unit. And so I did have like one relic that had carried on all the way from Feed into Superstar Fat Beat, and that was actually the show at Kirk's when it finally died. And we were in the middle of playing, and I ripped the cord out of it and I threw it out into the crowd.
Oh wow.
Oh, those stories.
So when does Superstar Fat Beat hit the scene?
That'd be 2000. Let's see, Katrina was in 5, so at least 2006 or 7 maybe. And that was a weird one. That Benny Christian Matthew. It was his brainchild of a band, and he had got with Josh Ross, who is just an absolute beast on the drums, always has been, and he had Kerry Thibodeau on bass. So Kerry and Josh had history through Feed. And they had this young guy in mind named Corey Redcap
Yeah.
that's right.
as a singer because he was young. And then Christian was like, well, who else can we get in on this? And they were like, dude, who's your favorite band? They were like, Dillinger Escape Plan. They were like, there's only one other person on this Gulf Coast that loves the Dillinger Escape Plan. They're like, who's that? Ray Ray. So they called me up, and they're like, come check this out. So we sat in Kerry's kitchen and playing without even being plugged into anything. And I was learning those riffs for Superstar Fat Beat. And there were 3 songs. I learned those 3 songs. We all got together one time, and we were like, okay. And Christian's like, I've got lyrics to go already for all 3 of these songs. Let's go. And they bring in Corey, and we kind of like force feed him all these lyrics. And he's a natural at, I mean, just right on top of it. Spastic, all over the place. tearing himself up, it's like, all right, great, this is the youth that we need to keep going. And at that point, I'm 30. I'm over 30 at that point. And I'm like, this is the last hurrah.
Yeah.
This is the last time I'm going to do this. And I'm going to make sure that, like, I'm going to leave my mark. This is where I'm going to leave my mark. And we all just went batshit crazy. Christian blew out his ACL in Memphis. We had a show up there, and he blew out his ACL third song in. Corey had busted his face a couple of times. I had busted his nose open at a gig. I dislocated some chick's knee when I was doing a knee slide into the audience. That was bad.
Ooh,
That was real bad.
that sounds very problematic.
She was very understanding, because it was like a month later we were playing another gig somewhere else, and I saw her on crutches and a big knee brace, and I was like, oh, what happened? That sucks. Your knee's messed up. And she's like, yeah, that was, you remember the last concert you guys did? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, remember when you come sliding through on your knees?
Wow.
I was like, uh-huh. She's like, yeah, your guitar caught my knee and dislocated. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. She was like, it was awesome.
God, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, that band was like a breath of fresh air. I remember it was so fun. It was a turn from just the normal bull crap that was going on at the time. Ugh.
Yeah, you guys didn't carry
Came
that.
out and raged.
I don't know, expected metal persona. That's you know
Yeah.
what I like so much about you guys, like, because that's kind of where I came into learning about you, and I was just like, these guys are so fucking nice. They're not like standoffish metal,
like we used to
bricks.
be. I mean, because that was the deal. I mean, we had built up this big stigma for ourselves back from Murder Intentions and back, and Blood Churn and Dead for 10 Weeks, all these guys. I mean, we were all the grandpas, you know what I mean? And we came with the first wave. Actually, it's the second wave, really, because Abuse and Forensic Unit, there's other bands like that from the early 90s that were doing it, and just look, I don't know if you guys ever remember Forensic Unit. That's got to be way before your time. And it was, this hit the freaking stage, and it changed everyone. Everyone went home that night and reevaluated their life and how they played music.
Huh.
And that's when the heavy happened.
Huh.
And we just but we were elitists at that time. We didn't come out and say it, but we were, because no one else was doing it. Well, you're only elite because you're the only one, so you're not really elite. You know what I mean? And we all had a I guess we had a big head. We had a big head.
No, I was actually talking about that last week on the last week's podcast. Like, going to metal shows and watching metal bands. Like, I always picked up like how fucking competitive metal bands were, at least in this area.
It was.
And in other places. And so that's kind of part of it. What you're signing up for is like to be technically that proficient against all the other fucking
Who's
metal
more brutal?
Yeah. Who could be the heaviest? Who could be the tightest?
Yep.
I mean, it's very competitive.
When you're playing with your friends on gigs and stuff, and instead of being up at the front, we're all stone faced. It doesn't matter what you're playing. It's pretty good set, kid. You know what I mean? And then what happened is, like, we were all a group, and a lot of us were just from Long Beach and Gulfport. That was it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when other people started coming in, you guys had talked about Marshall and them's band, Driven by Suffering.
Yep.
When they came in, dude, we were dicks to those guys. Like, we were absolute dicks. Like, how dare you come in here? And it wasn't like, not necessarily just me, but they were all my friends, so I'm gonna group myself in there, because it's not like I went out and white knighted for anybody at all. But it was like, yeah, we were dicks, man. We were absolute dicks, and it got to a point where I saw, like, other people are trying. And there's so much more music, and I didn't listen to just death metal or black metal or thrash or grind. Like, I rolled up to gigs. I had the big E150 van. You remember it?
Yeah.
And, like, everybody else was coming in. Their stereos blasting. I come in with Ella Fitzgerald blaring, and people are like, what the fuck is this guy listening to? And that's how I got in my mindset to go play metal. And, but it's like, we got...
jazz on the way to the metal show.
Yeah. Well, how do you think we wrote half of that Superstar Fat Beat stuff? I mean, that stuff was retarded. Oh wait, can we say? We can say. I ever say retarded on my stuff.
We're wide open on this one.
But I realized that earlier than some, later than some others that you can't just sit there and knock down the next generation. Because when we did that, there was a lot of people that just gave up.
Yeah.
We can't be as heavy as you guys.
Yeah.
We'll never be as cool, which we weren't cool. We were just assholes.
Well, Phil and Chip didn't give up.
Well, no, that's the way he's saying. I think we're all guilty of that, like, because you get in this mindset playing a certain type of music with a certain group of bands, and then these new bands come in. They're doing maybe just a little bit different, or they're from a different area, and you're, like me and Chip, we're 21, 22, thinking we're the bee's knees, like nobody's better.
When you're young like that, it's totally all like playing metal at those shows.
Right,
and young
and this other
and
band
aggressive,
comes in,
and
we're just as judgmental as we could be.
Yep.
everybody,
But in all reality, we want them to do good because it would bring more attention to the
Right.
area, which would bring more attention to me, which would bring more attention to us, and it'd be great. But you realize that now, 15 years later.
yeah.
So was the big changing factor the chemistry in Superstar Fat Beat that separated you from your past like that? Because my impression of you guys, or at least my memory, is that you were so approachable. Like, I remember talking to you and Christian and Corey, and like, these guys are the fucking sweethearts, so fucking nice. Like, you weren't like, fuck off,
Okay, I don't really feel that I was ever really unapproachable. Now, there was a lot of people that I've always been told this throughout my whole life. Is like, dude, you look like you're pissed all the time. Like, so there's a lot of people that won't talk to me because of that, even to this day. And I'm fine with that because I'm kind of introverted anyways. The only reason I was such an extrovert back then is because I was drunk.
Yeah,
I
do
friendly with
remember
everybody.
talking to you about how much I liked your dreads, and you're just like, oh, thanks, man. But I mean, it was like after you played.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely had enough in the tank to be friendly. But I always wanted to talk to people. I always wanted to be nice to everybody, and sometimes it would come out more one-sided. Like, if I want to talk about me, enough about you, let's talk about me. And that was a fixture in my life that I had to fix after I realized, like, well, nobody's gonna give a shit about me if I don't know anything about you. So, like, that's when I started actually talking to people about them. That's where we came across as such assholes, that we were so elite because, or me, I'm not going to talk about anybody else, because me, where I felt like I was being perceived as an elitist because I'm not asking you about what you do. Right. I'm not even asking you about your band.
This is pre-Katrina.
Oh, yeah, pre-Katrina, the brutal days. But no, when I got married, I had a kid. I had done the pro wrestling thing for a little while there.
Nice.
I went and kind of just midlife crisis early, and when that happened, and what was it took off so fast, and what we were doing, like, I had tried to write music like that before, but nobody liked it. Nobody wanted to play that at all. So, like, we couldn't do it. And then Christian and I just, like, we didn't write together at all. Like, he would write a song, I would write a song, and then Kerry would come in and kind of fill bits in, and then Josh is just like, okay, do his thing. Corey comes in and goes nuts, and it was so easy to just sit there and write the music that I wanted to play, and have someone else go, okay, yeah. Instead of, like, back before, it was like, it's not heavy enough. It's not brutal. It didn't need to be heavy. It didn't need to be brutal. It didn't need to be anything but what we wanted to play. And it translated live more so than anything I've ever been a part of. And, like, the first show, we had 3 songs. We got up there, we did our 3 songs, and we threw our stuff out the door, and we were like, oh, my God, we were so nervous. We were like, oh, man, everybody hates it. They were like, when's the next gig? When's the next gig? We're going to book you over here at this time. We're going to book you. Man, you guys want to come to Mobile? And it was like, whoa, we got to write. Yeah. We got to write now. Yep. And then before we knew it, we had, like, oh, man, I think we were doing 40-minute sets. And look, 40-minute sets with Superstar Fat Beat is like, an intense workout. It would take 3 or 4 days for us old fuckers to recover from a show, let me tell you. You're like, oh, man.
I remember that. We'd be stretching in the parking lot before y'all played. Like, man, I'm about to get in a fight. Like, this is going to be great. Let's get this taco vodka in our system. It's going to rage, dude. It was great.
Those always good times. Good times.
Follow-up question. What did you do with pro wrestling?
Yeah.
That was, well, I guess we could call it independent wrestling is what it was. It was an accident. It was a complete accident. It was this pre-Katrina? Yeah, pre-Katrina, right before Katrina, and Brothers in Metal, Tommy McManus and Cyrus LeVay, they had a spot called the IWC, Independent Wrestling Council, over close to Mobile. And they were running shows every Tuesday. And Big Dan, you guys remember Big Dan, the bouncer from Kirk's?
Yes, of course.
Oh, yeah,
of
Big
course.
Dan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
yeah.
we started riding over there and watching the shows together and stuff. And, dude, it's electric. When it's not a big production like WWE, because I got out of that a long time ago. WWE was just silly, you know what I mean? But I'm watching these indie guys work, and it's like, wow, man, this is magical. And it reminded me of starting to play music. You're in a small little place. There's not many people there, but these people are just out there pouring their hearts out, you know, telling a story with a wrestling match. And I was like, I want to be part of that. So I was like, man, I want to be a referee. My buddy Tommy was like, yeah, okay, we'll see. I was like, all right. So a couple of weeks later, I was like, man, I want to be a referee, dude. And he's like, all right, if you want to be a referee for real, you got to start showing up for training on Sundays. I was like, all right, bet. And he's like, all right. So I started picking him up on Sundays and going to train.
That's awesome.
And he's like, all right, if you're going to referee, you're going to have to learn how to run the ropes. You're going to have to learn this. You're going to have to learn that. And before I knew it, I was actually learning how to do some wrestling. And it was like, whoa. And they were like, hey, Tuesday, you got a match with so-and-so. And I was like, whoa, what?
Yeah.
No. And they were like, yeah, we got a whole thing planned out. You got a match coming up every Tuesday for the next month and a half.
Holy cow.
Dang.
And I went into that, and I was the smallest guy there. I mean, I was absolutely the smallest guy. I was probably 125, you know what I mean? And I'm in the ring with these, like, 200-pound, like, I mean, these guys are shredded. And I won my first match.
Wow.
I won my second match. I won my third match. So now I'm undefeated. And at this point,
Oh, wow.
Wait, you're a wrestler or a referee?
wrestler.
Wrestling. Dang.
And so they start a whole little gimmick for it where they were calling me the super heavyweight because I was the smallest guy. And like the first match, they billed me at 125. They were like, "What are we gonna say your weight is?" And I was like, 125. And he was like, "Dude, we got to bump that number up a little bit." And I was like, "Just say 125."
Yeah.
So they introduced me. I had Coalesce as my intro music, and I'd have my shirt on, and I'd get in the ring and then weighing in at 125, and I snatched the mic out of his hand. I go, "I'll have you know, I weigh 130 pounds." So then next week, weighing in at 130 pounds, and I come in and snatch the mic out of his hand. "I'll have you know, I weigh 135. So we kept building that up, and I'd always end up
Nice.
ripping my shirt off and getting mad. This little.
I love it. That's awesome.
It was fun, you know.
I've been a fan of wrestling on and off my whole life since I was a kid. And I've always seen the connection with that in like in a live music performances.
There's a lot.
More of
to
a
it.
sport. I mean, it's a whole different thing, but
Yeah.
in a way, you know, there's an overlap. You know, and the connection with the crowd and like feeding off of that
Mhm.
and that kind of thing too.
When I was 10 years old, my dad brought me and my brother to a community center, one of those like $5 to get in
Oh, yeah.
wrestling matches. And I didn't know much about wrestling, you know. I was just a kid. And I'm like, "What is this?" He's like, "Oh, you'll love it." And the Road Dogs,
Yeah,
Road Warriors,
uh-huh.
they had the shoulder pads.
Oh,
with
the Road
spikes.
Warriors, yeah.
Road
This
Warriors,
was before
yeah.
they hit it big. Like this
Legion
is,
of Doom
they
back
were
in
out,
the day.
yeah, the two guys. And,
Pre-WWF.
Oh my God, dude, they threw them thumbtacks, and I'm like, looking back, it was like 40, 50 people there, and I'm like, dude, y'all
Nice.
doing thumbtacks
Yeah.
for this crowd?
Yeah, yeah.
Gotta
Wait
make a
till those
name.
suckers full on Saturday before you do that.
Yeah.
But oh man, we were front row, and I remember they pushed this guy up against the edge of the ring, and he tore his shirt, and he took his hand and he spit in his hand. And he slapped his chest, and it was the hardest slap, and it scared the hell out of me.
Going around.
And I'm like, and he kept doing it. Like,
Just beating the shit.
That was my first match with Cyrus LeVay. He was the guitar player in Beacon.
Oh wow.
My first match was with him, and that first match that you have, you get broke in. That's what they call
Yeah.
it, breaking
I would
in.
imagine. Yeah.
I had
Get some stiff
handprints on my
punches and
chest
chops.
for a week.
Dang.
I had bloody handprints where he
Yeah.
had chopped me so hard. And that was like, I always say that I was in wrestling, but I never say I was a wrestler.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
The whole art
yeah,
and science to
so,
that.
and these guys put so many years,
Yeah.
and they tear their body up.
Oh, yeah.
So I was in wrestling, but I wasn't a wrestler. I was more like a toy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's awesome though. Yeah.
That'd be
be
so
fun.
much fun.
I always
couldn't
wanted
take
to
the
do that.
falls.
I would have done that if I had crossed paths with somebody.
Yeah, if I would
I
have
would've
met
done
somebody
for
that got
sure.
me in, I would have definitely done that because that looks
Yeah.
like a ton of fun, especially being like a referee.
Hard,
If
though,
you don't want
too.
to fight, like being a referee
Yeah.
and playing that game, oh,
Yeah,
dude.
I could pull the referee off right now, just from all the years of watching. I think I could pull that off.
Dude, we ran home from school to catch Thursday night.
Dude, the Monday
Thunder.
Night Wars, it was
The
super
Monday night,
popular.
Thursday
It
night.
was, wrestling was
Shit.
like cool pop culture in the late '90s. You know,
If Thomas
that was-
from Rushmore is watching,
yeah.
you need to get this guy on your podcast. You talk about
Talk
a wrestling
wrestling.
freak. Holy shit. That dude knew some stats. I didn't
Came
know
to party
half
over
of it.
here.
Oh, we got Maker's Mark?
Kurt Cobain bringing the goods.
Yeah, we got a...
Your bartender, Cocaine.
So, Superstar Fat Beat goes on for how long?
I don't know. People are still asking for another show.
Oh, we'll get it hooked up.
I mean, if you can't tell, I'm a little biased because
Yeah. No, that's fine.
I loved you guys. You're one of the few, like I said, you're one of the few metal bands that not just approachable, but you're willing to play with other bands on the coast that
Oh, yeah.
were not metal.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I did encounter that where it's like they're like, "What do you play?" And I'd be like, "I don't know. It's kind of punk, kind of post-hardcore, somewhere in there." Like, "Oh well, if it's not metal, no, we're
Yeah,
not gonna fuck
yeah.
with you." But you guys weren't like that. You guys were like, "Yeah, fucking set it up.
Well,
We're ready to roll.
Tell us when
Do
to be
it."
there.
Yeah.
We'll be 30 minutes late.
I remember because
Yeah.
Christian was always
Always,
so fucking
yeah.
enthusiastic about playing live anywhere.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, we just didn't care. We just wanted to go out and play. Like I said, I knew it was going to be my last run. I knew I was not going to play metal after that, because if I'm getting to play stuff that I really love, and it's not going to happen again. I knew it wasn't going to happen again. And the age comes into a factor too. Like, look, shoulder problems and stuff like that. Now we're talking about pre-2012. Like, we didn't even touch the motorcycle accident
I
stuff.
know.
yet.
I was
So,
leading up to it.
I was already starting to have a lot of problems with my body already, and not able to do the things that I wanted to do, and that the arthritis in the hands and stuff is starting to eat up. So I knew it was the last run, and so we just didn't care, and we just wanted to go out and have fun with whoever wanted to have fun, and we were over everything. We just let's go play. One of the funnest shows we played was at the Barking Dog with you, Recovery Period, and Chop Top. Was there another band? Oh, there was another band. Something? I don't remember. I can't remember. They opened up the show, but Chop Top was there, man. And talk about like a breath of fresh air, like where people talk about like Superstar Fat Beat was a breath of fresh air. Chop Top came out there and was doing something nobody else was doing around here. It was widely popular, like in Louisiana and stuff like that, but they were just doing that like acacia strain, just heavy, just boom, totally vocals just. There's no vocals. It's just a bunch of screaming and hollering. And I loved it. I love that stuff because, like, I remember buying Napalm Death from Enslavement to Obliteration on tape and getting in my car and putting it in for the first time and going, and I was telling my buddy Jason Ramsey about this from Abuse and all the other great bands. I was like, man, I just got this tape, dude. It's so awesome. Oh my God, check this out. And he's like, that's garbage, dude. And I was like, no, it's not. And he was like, no, you got to listen to this album, Scum. And I was like,
yeah.
oh, okay, great. And I listened to Scum, and I was like, what is this? And then like all that kind of music, this is like,
It's exciting.
yeah, and it was a long time ago. So
Yeah.
long ago. Like,
That was fun. That was when metal hadn't reached its, summit yet. As far as
no,
like 'cause
Florida death
during
metal
the,
hadn't taken
the
over.
underground metal in the '90s, leading into the early 2000s, where it was getting you had that underground, that super extreme
Yeah.
stuff. That was like exciting stuff because that's what you're reminding me of talking about all that because I was the same way, finding those underground bands.
Mhm.
and that are just doing crazy shit. Like Between the Buried and Me's first album around 2001 was a big one for me. Like that was towards the end of this kind of era, but bands like that. But it was exciting stuff.
For me, it was Morbid Angel's "Blessed Are the Sick." When
Oh,
that
yeah.
album came out,
Loved
that
Morbid
was
Angel back then.
that was life changing. To hear somebody play drums like that, you know, was insane. and then after that, it was Cannibal Corpse, and you know, the Florida death metal scene happened, and that's when everybody was like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, that's when you fold. You know, now we got to be brutal,
Got
brutal,
that
brutal."
testosterone up in there
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah,
You're
that's
like,
what it was.
"Oh."
Just
Big time.
taking aggression as an art form all the way to the peak.
Yeah.
And that was the thing, you know, like back then, it was a persona. It wasn't just
they
just
lived
the
it.
music.
It's kind of like wrestling. Bringing the
yeah.
wrestling thing. It was kayfabe in music. 'Cause
Yeah.
you kind of like it bleeds life, imitates art, and all that. You know. And
The whole
If you're going to
culture.
talk about Satan, you better believe in Satan. So
Yeah, I think we were all at the when Morbid Angel played the Coliseum with Pantera.
yeah.
SoFi.
Still one of the greatest shows I've
Nothing
ever
Face.
seen. Yeah.
Dude.
missed that one.
Dude, that was
Pantera
insane.
and Morbid Angel.
Morbid Angel was.
That's once in a
They
lifetime.
came out there, dude. They had each person had a fan on them because they had that long hair.
Yeah.
And
Hair
they
blowing
did-
in the wind.
They came out there. They're like, "We're Morbid Angel, and we live in a world of shit."
Yeah.
And it's
Come with
windmills
us
under
to
the-
the
yeah.
promised land. And there was like an echo. Land.
And he came out there. He's like, "Follow me, and I'll show you where the slime is." Just windmills.
Shit was so
4
bad
minutes.
ass.
Oh.
And that was when that show was like 2000, and it was with the main singer guy. I forget his name.
Trey,
Yeah, Trey. He was Trey for that tour, so it was like extra badass.
did they have Commando and drums at that time? Or I think
I
he
don't
was
know.
gone by
I
then.
don't know who was on drums, but I
It
remember
was-
Trey being on vocals. He had come back after being out of the band or something.
I had missed them
Yeah.
twice. I missed them at the Coliseum, and I missed them one at Zeppelin's over in
Wow.
Metairie.
Wow,
Oh.
Zeppelin
And that was the
show.
show that I really wanted to see. And the first time I got to watch Commando play was with Slayer on the God Hates Us All tour at the House of Blues.
Oh yeah.
And that was freaking phenomenal.
Yeah.
I just came back from Memphis on that. In fact, a buddy of mine was doing work for a House of Blues somewhere, and he gave me a ticket to go for free.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, cool. Can't miss that.
Ah,
Heck yeah, man.
Carrie Thibodeau wants to know if that's the guitar player for Feed.
Carrie! I was once when I was a younger man with pretty hair.
It was.
Gary's my homie. My
I,
homie.
I was always jealous of your hair, man, because I always wanted to have dreads. And then you're the only guy that I knew that was rocking it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, look, it was a long process. I had crazy hair for a long time before dreads, so. But yeah.
Chip's camera
Camera.
failed, so we're trying to
Yeah.
get Chip in on here.
Appreciate
so he's
you
just not
getting me
a
on
ghost in
there.
the machine.
Oh, it cut out?
So
Yeah, well, now-
where,
but-
I hope Carrie was here when we were talking about the feed days earlier. He would have enjoyed the Wojo stories, I'm sure.
so Superstar, what was it like at the end with Superstar? What
There you
happened?
go.
The end, like I said, I don't know. Perpetually, Superstar Fat Beat can be immortal. You know, we can always say we're going to come back for one more show. It just the main thing that really solidified anything was 2012 when I got into the motorcycle accident, and
Tell us about that.
it was shitty. it was divorce time. I didn't have a vehicle, and the only thing I had to get back and forth from work was a motorcycle. It just got done raining, and there was slick shit in the road, and I slammed into a sign. And,
A cruiser or a sport bike?
no, Springer, Harley Springer,
Ooh.
yeah, '93, and it was weird. The wreck happened, and I remember it vividly. The only reason that I got away from it, I'd say walk away, but I walked away from it. 3 days before it, I decided I was going to start wearing a full face helmet, and because I got tired of hitting, it was gnat season, and I had gnats and bugs and shit hitting me all in the face, so I started wearing this full face helmet, and when the bike went off the road and I slammed into the sign hit my elbow, which destroyed the whole elbow. And when it flipped me over, I watched the sign come across my face, and the helmet deflected it. So if I'd been wearing my normal helmet that I'd worn forever, I wouldn't have had a face to look at. Wow. So there was that, and then I laid in a ditch for a little while, and luckily there was somebody that was that saw it go down, and they called 911, and the police came out, the sheriff came out, and I was landed in a big pile of ants.
Oh.
And I was like, and they were like, don't move. And I was like, dude, I'm getting ate up by ants right now, man. Just look, I was like, I can wiggle my fingers, I can move my toes, my neck's fine.
Yeah.
You know, get me out of the
How about
ants.
these
And they're
ants?
like,
Yeah.
shit. So they got me up, and when they grabbed me by the shoulder, that's when I knew something was wrong, because I went to move my arm, and this was moving, but like all this didn't work, and I was like, okay. So I sat down, the ambulance shows up, and they're looking at my arm, and they're like, yeah, you got a compound fracture there. So they wrapped me up, and I was like, all right, shit. And they're like, all right, well, we're going to put you in the ambulance and take you to Garden Park. And I was like, that's like a $2,000 ride.
Yep.
I was like, come dig in my pocket here and grab my phone. And I called my mom. I said, I need a ride to the hospital. I'm not about to pay for this ambulance. And she was like, oh my God, are you okay? Where's the bike? And da-da-da-da-da. And she's rambling on. I'm like, look, just come pick me up. And at this point, I'm just in shock. Like, my body is going into shock. I've left a pool of blood on the ground. I'm wrapped up. So my mom shows up, and I jump in the truck with her. She brings me to Garden Park. They put me in a wheelchair and then stick me in the waiting room. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like literally fading in and out. Like, I don't have a lot of memory of sitting in the waiting room. But right before going back, I remember looking down, and my mom has all these towels, and she's just like mopping up all this blood off the floor, and she's crying, and she's like, will you please take my son back there and check him out? Look at all this blood. And they're like, oh, yeah, he is bleeding. Okay. They bring me back into the emergency room, and they're looking over me, and they're doing x-rays and this and that. They cut me open on one side and stick a tube in my lung. And they're like, yeah, broken arm. He's got a punctured lung over here. You know, he should be fine. And they're cutting all my clothes off of me. And I'm like, dude, I'm starting to hurt now. Like, that's all I know is pain. And I was like, man, can I get, like, something? And they're like, no, not yet. We're not going to do anything. And I was like, all right, whatever. Hey, can I get something?
He's dying.
And he's like, just hold on. And then I hear the doctor look over at one of the male nurses. He's like, man, I shot one of the best golf games I've ever had in my life today. And da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Knew with everything I had. And I said, look here, you motherfucker. You're going to do something, because this is fucking bullshit. Everybody leaves the room, and they come back in, and they're like, Mr. Darcy, we're going to have to move you to Mobile, Alabama.
Oh, wow.
So then they stick me in an ambulance and drive me over to the trauma at USA. As I'm being wheeled in, the lights are going dim.
Ooh.
And I'm like, something ain't right. They cut me open 2 more times and shoved 2 more tubes down my chest.
Oh.
They're like, dude, his arm has to come off. And I'm like, whoa, what?
Oh.
And they're like, what pain medication have you had? And I was like, I ain't had nothing, dude. This sucks. What's going on? And I'm just woozy. I felt like it was a scream. I'm feeling woozy over here. That's what I felt like. It was like, man. And they were like, all right, hold on. Chick comes by with morphine, pops me with it. And she's like, you're going to feel warm. And the last thing I remember from that day was scratching. And I looked the nurse in the eye, and I said, Ray Charles felt like this all the time. It was like a day and a half later, I wake up, and we're having the conversation now about whether we're going to take the arm below the elbow, at the elbow, or above. And I was like, oh, no. That ain't happening at all.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
the surgeon comes in, and he's like, dude, your arm is trash, dude. There's nothing we can do about it. And I was like, man, you take my arm, I'm not going to be able to play guitar. And that's the only thing I have left in life right now. That's all I have. He was a guitar player.
That's so nuts.
That's scary.
Wow, he was.
So he left the arm, obviously.
He left the arm.
Golly,
And
man.
he said he went back and watched a bunch of the Les Paul stories. Les Paul was in a very similar situation.
Really?
And when they fixed his arm, they made it to where it would stay. Because that's it. That's as far as it moves.
Wow.
And the wrist only moves like that. So, like, I got just enough to be able to play guitar.
That's so epic to save that, man. Could have been totally different.
Do you have any like problems with it today? Or?
Every day.
Really?
Every day. This thing, like, if you look I got the point of his elbow you ever see.
Oh, wow.
That's a chunk of metal. And then there's a rod that holds it all together here. And then the plate. And it hurts every day.
Ooh.
And the reason that it doesn't move is because it's bone on bone.
Oh.
Where it's bone that hits.
Oh, man. Brutal.
Yeah. Brutal. I have finally become metal.
Heavy. That's heavy, man.
Damn.
Yeah,
That is
I
nuts.
remember you posting, kind of like updates about this is, what I can do now. I'm able to take a step, now I
Oh,
can
yeah.
feed I remember that shit. That was
Yeah,
I was like, God,
They said you're gonna have to learn how to walk again, and I was like, whatever, get me out of this bed. I want to take a step. Pop. They were
Oh,
like,
wow.
we told you. I was like, oh crap.
Damn.
The first time I walked 10 feet, I think it was, I was so out of breath. I was just dying. They had to like kind of carry me back to the bed and set me in. And then it was 2 days later, I made a walk all the way around the hospital, and they were like, all right, you're good to go. I was like,
Dang.
what?
I
That's
couldn't
so
imagine.
wild. I can't
Can you imagine
that.
waking up in a hospital and
Can't
like, hey, we're
walk.
going to have to take your arm, buddy?
Yeah. Oh, man.
What?
Yeah. Fucking talked your way out of it,
Yeah.
apparently.
Well,
to
and it was
save
lucky that I did, because the next day after I told them don't take more, I couldn't get the blood out of both lungs were punctured.
Mm.
3/4 of my ribs were all broken. Some of them were just floating,
Mm.
and I couldn't cough the blood out of my lungs, and so I wasn't breathing. And that was like, you have to breathe, but I couldn't breathe. When I breathed, you could hear it click, 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 click. And so they tubed me. They put the tube down my throat for 3 days, I think it was. And that was the most awful experience of my life.
That does sound pretty
Never
terrible. I can't think of the right word, but yeah, pretty miserable.
feeling.
Yeah, well, but you breathe, but you got this thing, and all you do is bite on it, and then I got a feeding tube going through my nose. I've got IVs all over me. I got a 2.5 foot needle that they put in through my back that
Wow.
went into my ribs, and I had a push button morphine thing with them coming in every 6 hours and shooting me up with morphine. And
What was that like?
That's the only good part of the
Look,
story.
Look, when we go back to like talking about the feed days and stuff, I had a bit of an opiate issue back then that I'd weaned myself off of.
Yeah.
And but doing morphine for like a month straight in the hospital, that real good clean stuff,
Oh yeah.
you have some real fucked up
Ooh.
dreams.
I bet.
Like I would
bet.
dream that I was back home, and the only way I could move was like a snake, and
Yeah.
I'd wake up and be like, "Is this real? Wait, no, okay, no, we're still in the hospital."
Oh, that sounds amazing.
I can only imagine that.
But what the least amazing part though is like being a recovered addict from opiates, and then being turned
Yeah.
loose with
Yeah.
nothing,
Yeah.
and then it's like, well, what do I do now?
Right.
Mm.
I'm going to go back on the street and I'm going to start finding pills again, and I didn't.
Yeah.
It was bad, but I was the biggest asshole for like the next month and a half, coming down off of
yeah.
that stuff and detoxing. Like,
Yeah, I can imagine.
They got to
That'd
find
be
a
pretty
better way. 'Cause
Miserable.
that ruins a lot of people.
yeah,
A lot
Yeah.
of people.
they
Oh,
got
yeah.
a better way.
It's
They got a
just-
better way. Almost more than half the states in the United States have figured it out already.
That's true.
Mississippi will be last.
Yep.
You can guarantee
Always.
that.
Yeah,
That's one thing you can guarantee.
golly.
how long was it before you were able to even strum?
Let's see, it happened July 9th. And then we did our first gig in December.
What?
It was a benefit for Barbie, the girl that used to be the bartender at Kirk's back in the day.
No way.
Her daughter had some complications when she was born, and they needed a lot of money really fast. And we threw it together and went and played. And all I could do was this.
wow.
I could just, this hand I had working back up, but all I could do was just kind of claw attack the guitar. And it wasn't right until maybe about March where I could actually hold the guitar pick and play, and I had to relearn how to hold a pick and how it was going to work. Because one of the main things I was noticing this the other day, like how you can take your hand and your pinky finger. Let's see here. You can do that with your pinky finger.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, with this one,
Oh.
like that's how the nerve damage and everything
Wow.
that's in there. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of it would had me learn how to play guitar a totally different way, like finger picking and
Yeah.
stuff. I can't do it. I mean, I can. It's not fair to say I can't. I can, but it sucks.
Right.
Wow, that's epic though. Epic recovery.
It's scary. Yeah, I couldn't imagine, man. I'd crawl out of that bed. I probably wouldn't, because you probably couldn't. But being told they're gonna take your arm or your leg off or something, that's terrifying.
I would have rather. Well, I mean, not rather. If I had to lose one, I think I'd rather lose the leg. But then I got to work my pedals. So yeah.
You're right-handed, right?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah, that would have.
Yeah, if it would have been my left arm, screwed,
Yeah.
completely screwed. Never played a guitar. I would have never been able to play a guitar
Yep.
again.
One of my worst fears. I've thought of that. I think every musician.
So
That,
Let's talk about something happy
yeah.
now.
Yeah. So
all right,
so that was 8 years ago.
all right, Kurt
That was 8
Cobain,
years
take us
ago.
away.
So for the last 8 years, have you you been concentrating on just playing solo?
Well, no. Well, I had a band. We went through numerous members here and there. It was the last 4 years maybe now that I've been solo, and it's just easier to work. You know, it's easier to find gigs that pay being solo. Bands, if you're not playing top 40 from whatever decade, you can't really work as a job. And it's been
Not in this area. That's for sure.
4 years ago now is when I stopped working the day job. It's been 4 years.
I remember you telling me that you were so fucking stoked. You're like, all I need is like 2 more gigs per month, and I can
Nice.
I could fucking
Wait,
just
wait, wait,
Yeah.
wait.
quit my day job.
You quit your day job to play music?
Nice.
Here was the thing.
Because you could.
Yeah. Well, I was working full time the print shop would get slow, but I was working full time at the print shop, and I was doing gigs in 2000. What year was this? I want to say 17 or 18. I did 256 gigs. Never left the state of Mississippi,
Whoa.
and I did 256 gigs.
Damn.
And it got to the point to where I was just I was sick. I was just sick, and I couldn't pull myself. If I was on the stage, I was fine. If I was at the print shop, I was fine. When I was at home, I was just a zombie.
Yeah.
And then it got to the point where the old lady was the one that came to me and was like, "You have to pick one or the other. You can't keep doing both of these at the same time, because I can't handle you like this. It's like, go play music." And I was like, "Man, that's such a big, that's a leap off a cliff there." And she was like, just do it. And she was a full-time college student at the time.
Yeah.
And it's like, and we just did it. And I was in a much better place. I mean, you don't have to wake up every morning to go to work. Yeah, it was like, all right. I've had my alarm turned off for years now, man. It's great.
That is good stuff. I did a cover band for a couple of years there, where like, you know, so it was like a part-time vibe of that, where we were making money where, you know, if you could just added a few more gigs, you could, you know, just make it, you could live off of that,
Absolutely.
you know, kind of money that you're bringing in, that kind of thing. So,
and that's always
I-
thing
I-
that
I-
cusp
yeah.
of being able to do it full time is like always there.
yeah, so I could see how you could slide into that if you just had the bookings, you know, and but you know, it's a little scary, because, you know, it's not always guaranteed. It's like you're becoming a contractor for a living, you know, versus having a, you know, full-time job with an employer. But it is cool, because like I did, it was like a part-time job for me for a while, so I know what you deal with. Because it's funny when you drive into the bars and play the show, and it's just like clocking in for work. After a while, you know.
Oh,
So
it got to be real mechanical. If anything, with the lockdown and everything, it was a perfect time for me to have a vacation from being in restaurants and bars.
Yeah.
Because it was just,
it's crazy.
All right, this next song, no, I don't play that song. No, I don't play that song. No, I'm not gonna play Brown Eyed Girl.
All the
Freebird.
all the wild nights, everyone gets wild towards the ends of the night.
Yeah. Well, I mean, funny. Last Sunday, I was in Lakeview, we were in the Bay and stuff, and played a country bar, Harold and Lillian's, and I was like, I don't play country. I don't play country. And she was like, it's fine. You come in, you do older rock and roll and stuff. You'll do fine. They loved it. They were having a good time. They were singing and dancing. I was like, all right, cool. Well, there was somebody there, as always. They got way too drunk. And
there's always that one person.
they escorted them out of the bar. And the bar is this old house that was built like in the 1800s or something. It's a historical landmark. And they get him out of the bar, and I was like, okay, cool, everything's cool. And I'm playing my song, da-da-da, singing, and then, bam, the door gets kicked in off the hinges pretty much, and he's going straight after the owner, who's a female, and it's like all this rush of people, and I was like, wait. This is like, dude, we're playing happy songs right now, man. Come on, man.
Chill out with the mosh pit. Come on.
No, it still happens,
It's not a feed show.
Yeah, right?
I remember those shows. I mean, we had our share, because all the bands, you listed a bunch of bands earlier, Dead for 10 Weeks and Feed and all these bands. I knew about all those bands, and we were kind of like what you were saying, like the next generation, looking at like all these brutal, badass bands on the scene, and we were coming up with Insignia, trying to play some thrash and trying to play some metal. And, so I remember being like looking at all those bands like, damn, like if you had a badass drummer, we'd be like, wow, we need a drummer like that can do some crazy shit that, and, but that was good times, mosh pits and playing at Kirk's and community centers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I mean, we had real mosh pits shows and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It was different back. It was still like that.
Because me and you, we got into it around 2000,
early,
2001,
real, like right around right
99.
around by 2001, we were playing.
And look,
regularly.
understand, we were
So that-
15 years old at the time, and
Wow.
we're sneaking up in the
Yeah, we're like barely old enough to drive to
We're
the
smoking
bars.
our Camel cigarettes,
Yeah.
thinking we're the coolest dudes on the planet,
Sneaking
drinking
in.
our vodka.
We had to
and
go out in the
sneaking-
parking lot and drink because we
Yeah.
weren't old enough to even get
Yeah,
in the
we'd
bars.
go out, drink
Yeah.
the vodka, and we'd go in and watch Blood Churn or Dead for 10
Yeah.
Weeks or somebody, and just be like, man, dude,
We
I'll
were
tell you
on
what,
that
I got
scene.
my allowance saved up, bro. I'm going to
Yeah.
sell this stereo in my room. I'm going to get a guitar.
We'd get somebody to buy us a bottle of Jack or something and go up to Kirk's and rock out.
I bought a $180 BC Rich Warlock
Yeah.
with the 10-watt amp, and I was on my way.
Yeah.
And then
To
I
start 'em.
discovered that I'm horrible at guitar.
Yeah.
Still am today.
That's the only reason I joined that band.
So wait,
We
so
need another
so
guitar.
during the Hogs Tavern days and stuff, you guys were like
Yeah.
15.
Yeah, well, we were playing at Hawks Tavern
We
and
played
stuff.
at Hawks
yeah.
Tavern, and then they
like
kicked
as
us out.
teenagers, like
When
19,
they were like, dude,
18
you
years
guys
old
can't
and
like
shit.
hang out in here. You're like 16
Yeah.
years old. You got to get the hell out. And we're like, dude,
Yeah.
we're like 27, and we would make up shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
our
no.
drummer.
Grandpa. I get to be the grandpa now. I remember watching you guys grow up from little boys.
Yeah. But it's crazy. Like I feel like I'm, like it doesn't seem like it was a different time.
It was.
It was a different feel.
We're
Makes-
playing shows with No Remorse.
Yeah.
Playing,
Oh yeah.
yeah, that was
Shout
fun.
out No Remorse,
Yeah,
Choreo
dude.
Bar,
Yeah, that was great.
and them,
Yeah.
Overburden.
Oh yeah.
We played with them.
Yeah, dude.
What was
Recovery
the
period.
bit? Your recovery period was when I met
Yeah.
you, right?
Yeah.
That was the
The
first one. What was
recovery
the-
period
what was the one
shows were
with,
epic.
What was the one with the girl in it?
Mordecai.
Was it Mordecai? Did we play with you guys?
Maybe. Mordecai was kind of short-lived. Recovery period was like 7-8 years. Mordecai, I think, was only like maybe 2 years.
Okay, because I remember you guys were talking about it in your last episode. And I was trying to remember if
We didn't go over it very well. About I was trying to set up Phil's kind of his musical timeline
Mhm.
of all the bands he was in, and we didn't actually really get to like where we intersect, like where him. I think we did cover where him and Chip
We did
meet
talk
up
about that
and
a
become
bit.
bands, but we didn't really get to where me
when
and
Chip
Phil.
abandoned ship.
Yeah.
I caught that part.
He abandoned ship, and we got up to. We didn't get. I don't think we got up to Mordecai. I think we got up to Love Stories In, and but Mordecai was like right before. Was really briefly for Phil right before he joined Love Stories In, because we were on tour out in California, and Clint was in Clint and Phil were actually in Mordecai, and we were on tour, and Clint was like, "Hey, I'm working on an album. You want to play drums on it?" Phil's like, "Fuck yeah, absolutely. As soon as we get back, start sending me the songs now." And this was in the van on the way back to Mississippi. So I think we kind of skipped over it, but I mean, like, I don't remember how. I think Mordecai was only 2 years, and Alex was the drummer for about a year, and then Phil was the drummer for about a year, and then it dissipated. But yeah. Do you still keep in touch with any of the guys from Superstar?
You know, I'm a terrible friend. I'm a terrible friend. The only ones from anybody I've seen, I saw Carrie recently. I've seen Carrie. I actually we played a benefit for John Lundstrom. He had broke his leg. He's a local artist, badass artist, by the way. And we did a benefit over at Trax in Long Beach. And I played during the day for the old folks. And then later on that night, Killhammer played. And that was the first time I really got to sit down and watch Killhammer play and see Carrie be a front man in a band.
Oh, yeah.
And I was blown away. I loved it. I absolutely loved it, man. And seeing all those guys again, you know. And they had another band. Oh, man, they had a band from New Orleans, too. That was awesome. You would have loved them. They're like this punk rock, like a punk rock and roll outfit. 3-piece, just louder than anything you've ever heard before. And just, man, they blew me away, and I can't remember their name, so it doesn't matter. But they were great.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of seeing Killhammer open up at Cress when Cress had first started doing shows.
Oh,
and
really?
They, me and Phil, we were on the show to play with Love Stories In, and Killhammer opened up with full stacks at the very front of the fucking stage, and I was like, and it was the best sound, you know, because the sound in there is not. I mean,
I never went in there.
Well, oh, you
never went in there.
So I'm not going to go into it. But anyways, fucking Killhammer opened up, fucking killed it, and it was just like perfect.
Yeah,
They're so
I have a really good video of
tight,
them playing.
yeah.
I have a GoPro video. I got right up under Zach while he was going nuts on guitar. I got it. I'll post it right after we're done, but I got to find that thing.
Nice.
But it was sick, like the whole thing. And I remember the drummer was frustrated because he had to play on if I remember correct, I could be wrong, but he had to play on a house kit, or everybody was playing on the same kit, and he has a certain way of drumming.
Oh, yeah.
He's not like all these other nerds playing their beats. He's over here. Brrr. He's like, oh, I don't know if this is not cool. This is not going to work. I need to move this. But that was a really good show. That was fun.
I want to say like they are part of the Metal Alliance.
Gulf Coast.
Yes.
Yeah,
Metal
and they kind of like were
Association.
getting some stuff going out there at the racetrack.
Yes.
Having the annual.
Metal and Beer Fest.
Yeah, Metal and
Carrie
Beer.
was heading that off. And
I went.
That they missed this year because of the whole thing.
That sucks.
I was
yeah.
kind of expecting to see like a Superstar reunion as like a being one of the pools.
Well, I mean, yeah,
or feed.
Josh is in North Carolina. He doesn't live down here anymore, so I mean, he's not here. We're all pretty spread apart. Like,
Now, is it that kind of band where you got to have the same?
Yes, yeah.
You got to
look,
have the
when
same
Corey was what was Corey's band? Or they just did a reunion.
Lost from Grace?
Yes.
Yeah.
When he got heavily involved with that, and we were kind of doing our once every 3 month thing. As Christian had left and moved to Oregon or something, or Washington or something for a little while, and then came back, and we did a reunion. And then we didn't play for 3 months, and we did a reunion. And I think Corey kind of got bored with that, and he wanted to play guitar more. He wanted to get back into playing guitar. And we had Brooks Hubbard come in for a minute, and Brooks was going to do vocals / whatever the fuck he wants to do, because it's Brooks Hubbard. And we had a couple of practices, and it was really cool. It reminded me of like Dillinger's moment with Mike Patton in the band. It was wild.
That was a great album they did. I love that one.
Yeah, and then Brooks is way too busy. Brooks is just like out there. So then we got Greg. And when we got Greg, that was like the real thing, because he come in with a whole table full of effects for his vocals and stuff. And like,
That's awesome.
I think we only did one show up in Hattiesburg. I think we only did
That's
one.
a shame.
Oh,
And it was nuts. It was crazy. But I love Greg to death. And
Yeah, he was like that in Yellow Bastard too,
Mhm.
where he had a fucking floor full of effect and the top for
And
the
the top,
keyboard.
I remember seeing that
just
Yellow
fucking-
Bastard live.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was wild. I saw him in
Double
Hattiesburg.
I mean, I just fucking love Greg.
Yeah. But it wasn't. It didn't. It felt like
I
a
love
new
Greg's
band.
pedals.
I love Greg's pedals. Yeah, right. But it felt like a different band. It felt like we were covering our own songs almost. You know, it had the energy, it had everything, but without it being Corey, it was just like, it just, and like I said, nothing against Greg. I love Greg to death. You know, it was fun jamming with him. I'm glad I got to do that at least once, but it wasn't Corey. You know, so.
Yeah, chemistry and synergy with bands means a lot, and that's for sure.
It's kind of funny. That's why I was asking, like, if you have to have the same people, because like I've played in groups before where it's like it doesn't really fucking matter if the drummer, you know, wants to come back and do a reunion show. And then I've been in bands where it's like, yes, it does take this style to create this sound. It you know, kind of depending on how much you're bringing to the table.
Right. Yeah.
The final picture.
Well, that's like something that you guys talked about last episode was, you know, like where you asked Phil how he feels about coming in, and you were like, well, you know, I let you do whatever you want. You could play whatever you want. And immediately these two were like, no, you're put in a box. And I'm on their side with this one. Because here's the thing. He's already heard what's recorded. He's already got this. So he's already got something in mind of what the product is already. So, like, anything that's outside of the box is going to stay outside of the box immediately.
Right.
It's got to be that way, really.
That's where me and Mitchell disagreed.
But, see...
It depends on the project, though, because sometimes you can
just
get, like, a, you know, conglomeration, and some projects are just a vision,
but if a
and you gotta do it.
If a song's already recorded...
It doesn't matter. That was my whole point last week. Was I was saying a song is never finished. At least in my opinion, it doesn't matter if you record the song in a $5 million studio. It does not mean that is the final version of that song. I think music should always be constantly evolving. So even if I fucking wrote a song 20 fucking years ago, that doesn't mean that is the final edit for that song. I could play that song today however the fuck I want. And it's still going to evolve tomorrow and the day after with whoever wants to, you know, bring whatever to it.
Yeah, but here's the thing. With the evolution takes time. So if it's already there, you got to pick up from where that evolution of that song is to be able to evolve it into something else. And I think that's where Phil was trying to go with that. It's like it'd be different if, like, all right, you never heard any of these songs before. Put some drums to this, then you would have got more of a natural thing, which you would like, you know, for him to feel comfortable with. But when it's already there, there was a time where I jumped in a Sedative for a minute. I never played a show with them, but they wanted a second guitar player, and I jumped in with them, and it was such a solid base of what they had. Everything was just so dialed in. It was just like, it was hard for me to get in there and learn the songs and like feel like I was contributing something, and it didn't work out. We never had any hard feelings about it. It just didn't work out.
I would boil that down to chemistry, though.
No, it wasn't. No, I mean, we all love these. It was Mike Roosh, man.
Well, I meant like musical chemistry.
Oh.
Like if you're gelling, like I have that trouble too. Like getting in a room with somebody and they play something and it's like I just can't really play off of them or they can't play off of me. But I think what we're talking about here is the difference between being a player and being an artist. So if you want to be a player and say, just give me the fucking template and I'll play where the fuck's already written, then you're just a player. You're not being an artist. You're not bringing any kind of creativity to the table. You're just being a fucking toy monkey.
That's true.
If you want to be an artist, then you're going to bring that style, and that style, your style, is going to influence the song. So I feel like when I'm in a group setting and there's 4 people, I'm only 1/4 of that equation. I'm only one person influencing whatever's being created. The drummer, the bass player, the guitarist, whoever, singer, keyboardist, they all are contributing to the ultimate vision of what the music can be.
Yeah.
As artists, and that's how I go into it. Now I've also been in cover bands where I'm just a fucking player and I show up and the guy's like, all right, or not just cover bands. I've been in a fucking quasi alternative metal band, whatever, and the guy's like, here, I already wrote the bass parts. This is how I want you to play it. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, yeah, I'm just fucking playing a template. I'm not really contributing anything.
Yeah, well, okay, well, here's the deal. Your car loses a wheel. You have to replace it with a wheel. And that's kind of what happens.
There's good wheels and bad wheels.
Exactly. But, you know, it's still a wheel in the long run. You know what I mean? Sometimes you go through a lot of wheels before you find the right wheel.
That is very true. I wish if we had a fucking time machine, I would go back and tell myself, this would be the first thing I was like, before you fucking get in a room with any motherfucker and waste any fucking time playing with anybody, make sure it's with the right person. A fucking person who's going to share the ambition and enthusiasm that you have for what you want to accomplish. Otherwise, you're just wasting your fucking time. If I could go back fucking 25 years and tell myself that, I would save so much fucking time. So much time.
I bet you wouldn't. You know why? You know when you learn the most?
Because I'm going to go back in time and find you, right?
No. No, you would fuck up.
And I'm going to be like,
there.
Phil, you're going to be a great drummer one day. But listen to me. You're going to play whatever the fuck you want.
Let me give you the song before the drum parts are written. You pull the best out of you from crappy situations. And it doesn't mean that like you hated the situation or whatever, but you learn more from mistakes than anything else. If you never made any mistakes, or you never got put in a bad situation, or if you never witnessed someone else in that situation, then you would never grow to your full potential. And I think sometimes, especially if you're observant and watch other people and you see the mistakes that they make and know not to make those mistakes, then you learn. If you make the mistake yourself, then you definitely learn, or at least you should. And
if you're fortunate to witness that.
Yeah. And I'd like to think that I haven't made too many mistakes. Have I handled situations incorrectly? Absolutely. Especially there was no reason the last night that I was in feed. There was no reason that should have ended the way it did. And I'll take full responsibility for every action that I made and things that I said that was unnecessary. Of course, we all stayed friends, you know what I mean? Carrie was in there, and Lee, and Philpott, and Josh, Carrie and Josh and I were in bands again together, but it sucked that I put us collectively in a situation like that. And
What was the situation?
Oh, you gotta talk about
Oh,
You brought it up.
Digging it, you get too deep.
We just started having
this is a
there was
deep
just
dive.
creative differences, really. I mean, that's all it was. And
Of course.
And like I said, back at that time, I was belligerent. I was irresponsible, and sometimes my mouth just flew and things came out of it that wasn't necessary. And and I always look back at that, and like I said, I feel bad because I know I was mouthy that night, and I was blah, 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 blah. And anytime you're drunk, you never want to get in an argument with your friend,
Right?
because that's what happens.
Yeah, I think we can all relate to that, especially doing band stuff. Me and Chip hated each other for a solid 5 years.
Really?
We hated each other's guts. Like we've been in fights. Hell, I don't know if me and Mitchell ever hated each other. I think we've always.
It's hard to hate that guy.
It's really hard.
I
I don't know. I was surprised where you were talking about he was yelling at you in the van or something one night
Did you
What?
yell
because
at
you had to pee.
No.
He yelled at everybody. No.
He was blowing that out of proportion.
No.
I don't fucking. I like to think that
He
I'm
made
pretty
a-
fucking easy to work
He
with.
made a comment. And he had a tone, he had a tone in his voice.
Motherfuckers!
No, but to his respect, he said, guys, we've got I'm just gonna hypothetical. The next show is 8 hours away. We're 10 hours away. We can't stop. We got to keep moving. 15 minutes into the car ride, me and Mark are slamming natty ices and Keystones and warm Keystones. And I was like, dude, hey, got a rest stop coming up. We're about to bust. And he's like, God damn it. I told you. No. Be in the jug. I don't know if that's what happened. I remember there was a comment
Close
made.
enough, I'm sure.
No, I'll give him credit. That probably did happen, depending on the show. Now I don't remember the show, but if I felt it was an important show, I would crack the whip. Because typically, you're in a van, we were having a good time on this tour.
Mm-hmm.
This was more like a vacation for us. Phil didn't have a job. Clint didn't have a job. I think I don't remember who. I think Mike was playing bass with us. Mike quit his job. I was on. I took leave. I was taking vacation.
Sure, guys,
days.
let's go.
We're in a fucking van full of only two people had a fucking job with 10 other people in the van that didn't have jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a vacation. And depending on the show, if it was important, like we were going to be playing 2 kids or people and it was a real show, then yeah, I probably cracked the whip. But most of the shows on that tour, that summer tour, yeah, it was just, you know, having a good time. And
was this when you were becoming family man by now, or is this before?
No, this was before. This was Mordecai. This was when Phil was in, and in fact, I think this was like one of the last tours that Mordecai did.
Yeah.
You know, that's something I never did at all these years.
Oh man.
I never did a tour. I never went, you know, played out of state a lot. And we played every weekend in Feed pretty much, and Murder Intentions played a lot and played out of state, and Superstar Fat Beat went out of state, but never anything that was defined as a tour.
Yeah.
And so, like, what I've always made the joke of is I'm on the endless Gulf Coast tour of Mississippi because
Right.
I just go around from Biloxi, Ocean Springs, and go, you know,
Yeah.
and make the eternal loop of, and that's my tour. And look, guys, I'm tired of it. I'm getting sick of it. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go to
Yeah, switch it
Florida
up.
or something and just
Yeah.
see some other trashy venues, you know. So,
Yeah.
I think touring was fun for the most part. Learned a lot. You know, I looked at it as you're creating an opportunity for yourself to expose your music to more people and possibly a higher potential of someone hearing it that could help you further it along.
Yeah.
That's how I always thought the benefit of touring was, whether something came out of it or it didn't. But actually, you know, in recovery period, it did, because we played up in Birmingham a lot, and there was a guy running a guy and a girl running a venue, an all ages venue up there, and he had a label, and he was like, "We would love to put out your record for you," and we're like, let's do it. And we were actually working on it, and, you know, and then of course, like everybody else, the venue went under and the label went under, and then the band. We had recorded the album, and then the band imploded. So like nothing ever. I mean, but if it had not been for touring, that guy may have never got to see us perform, or knew what we were capable of, or heard the songs, or the scope of what we could do.
yeah.
I mean, I always thought that was, you know, at least for me, and I think for everybody else in the van, it was probably just a fun opportunity to get the fuck out of. I had done it enough to where by the time Mordecai was touring, you know, we had photographers jumping in the van with us just to go on tour, just to have a good time.
Yeah.
You're like, we'll take pictures of you at the show. We'll, you know, whatever, you know, hang out with you. And but before that, I mean, that was like 10 years of touring by that point. When we first started doing it, it was like me, a bass player, drummer, and like my girlfriend helping us with the merch while we were playing in basements and wherever. It was nobody wanted to fucking be in a car with us. But, you know, you fast forward like 7-8 years later, everybody and their fucking mom wants to come along. Oh, we heard this is a blast. You know, this is you're going somewhere else. You know, you're gonna go drink beer in a basement in Minnesota. Oh, I want to go.
Nonstop.
It was without a doubt one of the funnest things I've done. Even though we got in like several fights along the way, because when you're in what was it, 3.5 weeks? It was a long time.
Yeah, I don't remember any fights. Who fought?
Oh, dude, I got in several.
You got in a fight?
Really, not fight, not throwing hands, but like, hey,
Skirmishes.
Man, hey man, I'm seconds
An altercation.
away. I'm seconds away from fighting you. It was several times.
Yeah, I had a lot of that in recovery period.
Yeah, because I was a bit mouthy at the time. I'll admit, I was a little.
I'm about to
mouthy.
say, I would imagine. I know Phil at this era, the
Yeah,
decade
I
ago,
was-
Phil
I was some
would have
serious
on
shit.
tour. I can only imagine.
Yeah, dude, things got weird for a second. But no, it was fun. We saw Mount Rushmore. I've never been to
Nice.
Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, we saw a lot of good shit.
Saw a lot of stuff.
I mean, it was. I remember touring with you was definitely fun, because you were down for having a good time. You were down for drinking,
yeah.
but you were also, when it's time to play the gig, professional. Like,
Yeah.
let's get these drums out. Let's get these, you know, going. Tell me where I need
Yeah.
to set up. I mean, you were on it. You
Yeah.
weren't like just fucking off. Like, okay, well, I'm gonna go hang out and talk to so and then just you come get me whenever it's time for us to. You know, you wanted to know, where do I need to be.
Yep, those strict rules were from my wannabe death metal days. Like, hey fellas, we may not be the best band on the bill, even though we thought we were every single time, but we're gonna load our stuff up faster than everybody else, and we're gonna load our stuff out faster than everybody else.
Oof.
Because one thing we talked junk about was bands playing, and then they jump off the stage and start talking to people.
Yeah.
I always
And
hated
there's
that.
bands after them, and we were like, dude, and we would talk mad shit. on the side of the
Like,
stage.
get
like,
the
hey,
shit
oh,
off.
these guys
Time
aren't
to get
legit like
going.
us, dude. They're not on the same level.
Well, yeah. Well, a lot of that too is we're all guilty of this. Putting too many damn acts on a freaking night.
Yeah.
Too many.
Five bands.
Sometimes it works.
5, 6 bands. Oh man, it's just
Sometimes.
so much though. I mean, you're just asking for trouble.
Three at the
Yeah.
most on a typical night. But any other time, I mean, you got to do like a fucking day show or something, or
Yeah.
make it some kind
Gotta
of
start it
all
early.
day festival.
Yeah. But then you get the well, what time does your band play?
Yeah.
Mhm.
8-ish, 9-ish, could be.
Somewhere you got to give them cable company answers anytime between noon and 8 p.m.
And then,
Yeah,
and, then, and then you're setting up at 1 a.m. when everybody's like,
Yeah.
bro, there's 6 more bands. And it's 1.
Yeah. I bet at those shows, yeah. It's just like,
Oh, God.
Speaking of drummers, I remember faintly you had a side project going with Rob Richards for a hot minute.
Yeah, that was the band that opened up for Agents.
And I want to say it was like a Tom Waits kind of sound.
Well, no.
What was that side project?
Rob was coming in. That was recently. That was more recently when I was going through members of trying to keep the Diggs and the Junk Band thing going.
It was him playing drums and his girlfriend singing. And
Oh
I
no!
remember-
Oh wow! I completely
remember
forgot about
seeing
that.
a
That was the Dreadfuls. That
Okay,
was the
okay,
Dreadfuls.
okay.
Yeah. That's
Because I remember, like, I saw the picture of you playing acoustic guitar, and she had
Mhm.
the '50s mic,
Mhm.
and I never got to see you play live.
we never
but-
did.
Okay.
No, we
But
only
when-
we only
but
did
when
it
I
at the
asked about
house.
it,
Yeah.
it was like supposed to. If I remember correctly, which I probably don't, it was Tom Waits type.
Well, I mean, we
sound.
did. I think we did a couple of Tom Waits tunes, but like we did, we made it like kind of just like a performance art thing. You know what I mean? Like we made everything very dramatic. In fact, I can't even remember all the songs that we did. There was some CCR that we'd do, and it was like very very melodramatic versions of it, and. One of the songs that we just messed around with that nobody ever likes is Radiohead's "Creep,"
Right.
and we had I forget.
Didn't you have a demo of that? I want to say
There's some
that
recordings
that she
somewhere.
played me
maybe
a demo of you guys doing that.
There might be some
That rings a
recording
bell.
somewhere. I don't know for sure.
So Rob was in a project with you recently.
Well, when I was still trying to get drummers together and keep a band together, we had meshed for a minute, and that was pretty much right when I was moving towards solo stuff, because that was almost all the work I was going to be able to get. Well, not it's the only paying. If I can't pay you, then I don't want to bring you in. I don't want to waste anybody's time, and I wasn't able to find full band gigs that would pay. Everybody was like, "Oh, well, come on in. We'll give you $200," and it's like I'm bringing 4 other people
Yeah.
with me. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's hard to negotiate.
So, and they were like, "Oh, well, if you come by yourself, we'll give you $200." And I'm like, "Sorry, guys, I'm going by myself."
yeah.
And that turned into a little thing, kind of, like people didn't like it. Some were understanding. Like Vinny with a V, Lugo. He's jamming with Corey Christie and Zach Feldman right now with their what is it called? Karate something.
Vinny Lugo, you said. Huh?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
went
saw
to
them.
college with him.
He's a
I know
great
him.
guy.
I know that guy. Yeah.
He's a great guy. Hell of a guitar
Yeah.
player, man. He'll talk himself down all the time, but
I
like
haven't heard his name or spoken to him in 15 years, but I knew him. I remember going to his apartment one time, going to JD. We went to JD together.
Mhm.
But yeah, Vinny Lugo. Yep. Man, wow,
Yeah,
It's one of those small world
he's out
ones.
there
Yeah.
jamming it.
that's cool.
I got to see them.
He was- I don't
play
think
at
he'd ever been in a band back then.
Or O'Keefe
No.
Museum.
Mhm.
Him and Corey were playing. I want to say it was kind of jazzy type stuff.
Yeah,
And they were playing for Carmen. It was a show. Carmen's show.
Yeah.
It was like open at night or whatever.
one of
And,
her showings.
Yeah, I brought my little girl, and she was like out dancing, and to them playing.
Wholesome.
Good stuff. But so Rob, are you doing something with Rob right now, or?
No, I haven't played with anybody in forever now, unless it's just like I go to see somebody. I don't know if you guys know about that. There's a group of guys called Casual and the Uptights that play downtown Gulfport all the time, and like Friday night, I probably shouldn't have, but like their guitar player was like, "Here's an extra guitar. Here, sit in and play with." I had no idea what song they were even playing. I'm like, all right, let me lick around here for a minute, and then after that, they were like, all right, we're going to go on break. And the guitar player was like, man, play something else, play something else. And Scott Anderson plays drums with them. And Scott's solid, man.
Scott is awesome.
He's a metronome. So
Shout out to Scott.
I looked over at the bass player. I was like, hey, man, can I play? And he was like, yeah, sure, go ahead, man, go ahead. So I started playing on the bass, and we did like a little 12-bar blues song. Nice. And it was about halfway through that. It was like, oh, I should not be doing this at all right now because
we've all been there.
Me and JMO had to hang out a little bit, and yeah. But I mean, it was fun. It's an alley gig down there that the city pays for and stuff, and it's a real fun time. And Casual and the Uptights, they bring their whole show. They're a full band, and they bring the lights and everything.
Oh yeah.
But other than that, I mean, like, the only time I was really, when I had the people that I was playing with in the band, which there was a few changes here and there throughout with that, but the Monday night jam sessions at the Irish Coast Pub before it closed down, that was when I was jamming with people. That was the birth of Blackwater Brass, pretty much. A lot of those guys all met each other there. Wow. And I can remember nights where we had 15 people up on that tiny little stage with a full horn section, somebody playing keyboards, somebody playing the Hammond, 4 guitar players, you know, just insane stuff, like religious experience kind of stuff. And I'm getting to play with like these top-notch like performers around here. It was insane.
Wow, man. This Kurt Cobain get up right here is actually in due part to Scott, actually. We during quarantine, I had started a covers project, and I was trying to collaborate with people, you know, from everybody's own personal studio, and reached out to Scott, and he worked on a Nirvana cover with me, and he had this idea to do a music video for the cover song in Mandy's salon. So we ordered all this Kurt Cobain shit to make the music video, and then fucking Corona happens, and we're back in quarantine, and fucking everything gets, you know, postponed again.
Yeah. That's funny.
Well, it looks good. Yeah. It looks good on camera.
Come as you are.
You look like a vintage Care Bears salesman.
It's Andy Warhol's illegitimate child.
Love it. So then you get into the solo project, and I remember right before you went full time with it, I was trying to start a gear podcast. It's called Beers and Gear, and I had talked to you.
Yeah.
I was like, hey man, and you're like, what's it about? And I was like, well, we're just gonna sit and we're gonna fuck with pedals and talk about pedals. And you're like, oh, I'm down, I'm totally down. And I think I had done like a couple of tests, and I don't know. I didn't end up, you know.
You got to get
getting any steam behind it. But
it's
I remember talking to you about it, and then you were full time playing your solo,
I tend to fall off the face of the earth for a while too, like, because I know, I mean, like everybody uses Facebook to keep up with each other, and like I can't get on. I can't do it. I post my stuff and I get away. I run away. Like,
is it because of what you see on there?
I can't stand everybody arguing with each other.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
you know, and that's what it's come down to. It's supposed to be a place of networking, not.
Right.
I've just seen too many people
like
that
the music
have
scene.
been lifelong friends that just don't talk anymore or have a falling out, and it hurts my heart to see it in such a public format. You know what I mean? And I just can't do it. And I'm not one to come in and be like, hey, you shouldn't do. You guys have fun, okay? I'm just not going to be a part of it. You know, I'll be over here playing from 8 to whatever. And if you want to come see me, thank you. If you don't, I hope you're doing well. Yeah.
I hate when people like, if you believe this, delete me now. Like, shut up, shut your mouth.
Yeah. But I still use Messenger.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, Messenger.
Oh, that's great.
Because nobody has everybody's phone number, and
It's kind of funny too, like social media. Like you kind of see people's true colors come out on social media. Like people who just like with the whole racism. You know, like they don't hold back, and it's like, oh wow, well thank you for doing me the favor. So now I can delete your fucking ass, and I don't have to like ever worry about talking to you ever again.
That's
it is nice that there is that.
Shouldn't delete
that transparency.
Yeah, it'll show. Man, I don't. It's horrible, man. It really is. I mean, like, because you want to think that like we've moved on and we're but
No, it's an illusion. It's all an illusion.
and people being cooped up the way they've been lately.
I say
too.
this as I wear a purple.
Yeah, right. The illusion.
Yeah.
People being cooped up has made them a lot more edgy.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Well, they got nothing else to do, I think, and all they do is.
Mhm.
I mean, when you get on Facebook and you're scrolling down for hours a day, like there's something to that makes you kind of nutty, and it gets you into these social justice issues that you normally wouldn't be into if you weren't on
Right.
your phone all day.
Yeah.
I think y'all are. I think you're kind of completely skipping over the, what the pandemic has instigated, which what you were kind of picking up on, saying by people, I think in a nice way, saying people are edgy because the pandemic occurs, and then lower middle class and lower class immediately suffer the most from it right off, and then you have this whole explosion of racism, and it's like, no fucking shit. Do you not fucking see how like the suppression equals who's encountering the worst of the pandemic right off from the bat? And then I think that opens up Pandora's box for everybody. And then you have either assholes saying, well, I was programmed to think that I'm a superior race and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, yes, you are a piece of shit and you should fucking go away. And then everybody else who kind of steps up to say, yeah, let's, make the world a better place and fucking,
Well,
let
here's the
everybody
thing,
know
but
we are,
everything works in extremes now. There's no straight down the middle for anything, and what happens is it's like either you're too pro this or you're too anti that, and there's the middle ground is missing on everything, I feel.
Yeah, most people agree on the same issues.
Yes.
Most people.
Most.
But what you see in the media and on Facebook and things like this is, you're either on this side or this side. But most people, like if you got in the room and talked to somebody, you would probably
You have
be
more
on
in
the
common
same
than you
page.
don't.
Yeah, you'd probably be on the same page.
Like you know what I did, and it was after Katrina, because I got sick and tired of hearing about us in New Orleans and Katrina, and it was fucking depressing, man. I couldn't take it anymore. I turned off the news, and I have never turned it back on since then. I get my news when I want it, and for specific things that I know is going on. And Twitter, I use Twitter, and that's like something that's really weird to me, and I don't understand that around here. Nobody uses Twitter around here, as far as I know.
don't use Twitter.
Nobody uses Twitter, and
I
it's
don't
like
bother with it.
that's my escape from Facebook. I get on Twitter and I can keep up with everything. Now there's bullshit on there too, and there's toxicity. There's any social media platform, there's going to be toxicity, but it's so much easier to get past it because it's not like you don't see a toxic post and then see 109 comments below.
Mm-hmm.
And then here's my dumb ass going, well, what are these 109 comments here? Oh, well, shit, Susie said this, Joe said that. Holy crap, look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he threatened to kill him now because he's pro-gun. Oh, hey, he doesn't like Ford, so the Chevy guy's going to... And that's how it gets to me. It's like, dude, the next thing we're going to be doing is threatening each other over chocolate and vanilla ice cream or something.
Yeah.
I like cookie dough.
And what's
like
interesting
cookie
is like these
like cookie
these guys you show up, like when I'm a big fan of like live stream riots and things. I love watching them. I don't know why, but I'm like, dude, this guy swinging a stick at this guy for different political beliefs or whatever, like they don't even know each other.
That's in the moment. They don't even know
Right.
why they're doing it.
And if they sat at a table like we are now, they would probably meet in the middle on some things. Like they would probably agree on some
Yeah,
things.
yeah, absolutely.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't want to
Yeah.
make this a political podcast.
Please don't.
That was really I don't want to do that. That's junk.
So last week they had brought up like a video of Dr. Dog or somebody, I don't fucking remember who. But I had made the comment like while we were watching it, I'm like, you look at all these guys and they all kind of like very laid back, sound like they could be in Wilco, and I'm like, do you think any of these guys were in a metal band or like in a hardcore punk band,
Mm-hmm.
before they transferred to this type of music? Well, here we are. I think we have a perfect example today of someone who could answer that question because, we, as we said earlier, we know you as Ray Ray, or I know you as Ray Ray from Superstar Fat Beat or Murder Intention, and now here you are. You play with this very down to earth, soulful voice. You know, something that I don't remember being in your previous bands.
No, it wasn't.
You're, you know, raking in, you know, the
Oh,
money,
come on, no.
gigs every weekend.
Yeah.
But
Professional.
you are the star of your own show, so to speak. You know, you call the shots. You play when you want to play. You living your dream, man. So I mean, that move. How do you still have an urge to write creative? Do you still have the urge to play metal? And how do you balance that with playing the covers?
Well, I would love to, and it's not for lack of trying, but it is a major chore to be able to do any of that, like just sitting down and playing my guitar. I still got the Black Gibson Flying V at home. Like, out of all the guitars, that's my baby. I mean, 940566601 is the serial number. You know what I mean? It was made for me, and I have to contort myself so crazy to be able to play it and be able to palm mute and be able to pick for a certain way. And it's very short bursts that I can play fast. And this hand can still do it. This hand still got it. This hand is where I struggle, and it's so deterring because I can't play what I want to play. You know, I can hear it, I can finger it, I can't pick it, and that's where I just kind of like I dove into what I'm doing now, and where I take songs and kind of play them wrong, you know, for my own benefit, you know, and it'll be halfway through the song and somebody's like, oh, well, that's whatever, you know, like, I mean, I do Billie Jean a weird way. I do Guns N' Roses as a 12-bar blues song, Sweet Child of Mine, and just little things like that. And it's
Nice.
you know,
I'd like
everybody's
to
like,
hear that.
yeah, well, everybody's like, oh, it's so different. It's just to keep myself from being bored.
Yeah.
You know, but the urge is always there. I actually have a MIDI set up at home right now, where I got my MIDI keys. I've got a little cheap electric kit, and at some point through time, I plan on recording at least 5 or 6 songs that are going to be heavy, and have that just as the last thing, you know, that see what I can do. But I would think more along the lines, instead of like Fat Beat or anything, it'll probably be more like a Neurosis kind of thing, like more noisy.
Nice.
Nice.
Neurosis. That's a cool band I haven't thought about in a long time. I remember them.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, the long, slow,
Yeah.
epic songs.
Yeah.
Oh,
That was
yeah,
good
dude.
shit.
And then with that too, you know, like I'd love to be able to just like call up somebody and be like, hey, come play this track real quick. Hey, come play these drums real quick, or you know, anything like that, and just include everybody that wanted to be included in on it. You know.
I still laugh when I think about, like, I don't know if you remember this, but there's this one time where you're like, yeah, come down to the practice space, we're gonna be jamming, and this was over in Gulfport off of 49, and that U-Haul, those U-Haul storage units. Y'all had a big space.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
way in the
Near
back.
321.
And I had never been there before, and you're like, yeah, we're recording. Maybe you can, you know, kind of like just look at what we got. And y'all had a control room, but you had your laptop out in the live room, and I think the control room was still being built.
Yeah.
I don't think the window had been put in place yet, but you were showing me. I remember you showing me the outlets. You were wiring the control room to be set up. And but there was like a couch and stuff in the big room, and you're like, and you had your laptop set up, and y'all just kind of fucking off jamming and recording it on your laptop, and you know you had the little mixer, and that was a great space.
What I had was separate from what other guys had. I'm trying to remember. I think it might have been all Kirk's old gear.
Was that just you guys in there? I mean, I thought
No,
there was
it
like
was
multiple.
no,
bands.
it was Blood Churn, Dead for 10 Weeks, That Yellow Bastard, Superstar Fat Beat. I mean, Neo Pagan Sect. Dude, that was a house of horrors, man. We'd go in there and just it was metal
Brutality.
to metal.
How did you or who even was able to score that room? Because most facilities don't have something like that available.
No, I'm wanting to say it was Zach, because once he left the pit, that's where everything went to was 321, and I want to say it was Zach, because they had that before Fat Beat, and that's where I went in. It was with Fat Beat, and it was like, because Josh already practiced there with Blood Churn, So that's where the drums are. That's where we go, and we just started paying our share of the rent. And everybody, the more rent, the more people to split the rent, the better it is for everybody. But yeah,
I wanted to ask, like, what happened to that place? Is it still around, or?
No, I don't think so. I think
It would have made a great studio.
It wasn't that long ago. It wasn't too terribly long ago that they moved everything out of there, and everybody's in different places now. I mean, because you still got like what is his name? Travis, the Moonshine Massacre, which got Travis Voorhees, that was the singer for Abuse, and Brian Strong, that was the guitar player for. And Chucky's playing bass, and Joel, I believe, is playing drums. Imagine that. Joel's in another band. I swear he's in like 5 bands or something. Because he's in Killhammer, right? Is he in Killhammer still? He might be. He is.
I think he is, yeah.
Moonshine Massacre. There was the other one. I can't remember. I can't keep up with everybody. I'm lucky I know where I'm supposed to be at on the weekends, to be honest with you.
Tell us about your podcast. I saw you eat the extremely hot chili pepper.
I don't call it a podcast. It's not a podcast.
Or your show. Tell us about your streaming show.
Live stream.
It's just a live stream. Yeah. Dude, it just started with me playing video games. I was on YouTube for almost a year before I switched over to Twitch. And it was just all video games. And it started with me just being toxic as shit and yelling at people and blah, blah, blah. And then I realized, like, I wanted to take it seriously and I wanted it to look good. So I was like, all right, I don't want everybody to look at me like I'm an asshole all the time. So I straightened my act up, and we started playing like Red Dead Redemption. I don't know. Are you guys video gamers at all?
Yes,
Okay.
we are.
Yeah.
Okay. So like Red Dead Redemption, I was playing that, and then I had a community built up, and I didn't like what was going on with YouTube for live streaming and the uncertainty of what you were going to be able to do and not do on there. So I moved over to Twitch, and I brought some of my community over there, and then I got involved with a couple other communities, and then within a month or so, I had my affiliate status, and it's been going.
That's cool.
Not impressive numbers, but I've gotten paid.
Oh, nice.
And one of the biggest things, this was the most amazing thing that ever happened with me and the internet. March comes around, we get shut down. St. Patrick's Day was my last gig. The beginning of April hits, and my computer shits the bed.
Oh.
And I'm like, fuck, man, the only way I was making money was, people tipping me on Facebook for live streaming, playing music, and Twitch, what am I going to do, And I had enough limping in the computer left to be able to go out and deliver that message that I was down and wasn't going to be live streaming. It was in 2 days. The community came up with the money for me to order the parts to build a whole new computer within 2 days.
That's awesome.
And that blew me away. So like I got that going, and I did a whole little gimmick too, where I was making videos on my phone with my iPhone about like I'm stuck in the darkness, and we're is this transmission getting out to you? We will return soon, and I'm posting pictures of parts as they come in. And the first night back, I was gone for almost a month, and it was the end of April. And my first night back was like, people were like, "Here you go, here's some money, man. Here's some money." And it was like, that's how I paid rent. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Wow,
that's cool.
And it's cool. But I mean, okay, so we go. I digress. Back in what the question was. Once I got to Twitch, and people came to my streams, and they seen how I ran things and how it looked, they all wanted to know, how do you do that? What are you using? What are the and then like I do a lot of green screen stuff and all kinds of weird shit.
That's fun.
And
yeah, your setup looks great with the colored lights in the background.
Well, see, I done changed it now. I got my whole back wall is nothing but a green screen now.
That's awesome.
And but I just start teaching people that, and then that pulled me into other people's communities. And do you guys have a Discord? You know what Discord is?
I know all about it, but I haven't used it though.
You need a Discord.
Yeah.
Phil.
We're gonna get one tonight.
And but there's one called Gamer Nerds, and I'm part of that, and I've got to move into being a moderator there, and then I have like a little tech help section in there, and I give out free sounds for alerts, and I'll do overlays and stuff like that for people.
Dang.
And
Overlays
so you
too.
know a guy that does like the overlays and stuff.
Well, we're gonna hit you up on that definitely, because we're just getting started, and we need guidance.
Yeah, the overlays you talked about, are they the kind where like questions pop up on the screen from somebody watching it live? Or are you just talking about graphics?
No, like overlays like alerts, like if somebody follows your Twitch page or subscribes or
Right,
donates bits or donates cash or whatever, I have a whole animation that I've taught myself how to make the animations and stuff, and I have all these animations. And was that mine? Was that me?
I don't know.
With me.
That was something.
But and stinger transitions and stuff. That was me. Sorry. Like stinger transitions, you know, when you see the screen and then like a animated thing comes across and then it changes while the screen's full, and like I make those. I've learned how to do all this stuff.
Nice.
I got all kinds of weird shit, man. Like I give the community. They have on Twitch. You have channel points that you earn. The longer you sit and chat, the more points you earn. And I used to always have, like, you know, the barking dog man from the news. Rah, 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 rah. I've got that. I've got Miley Cyrus swinging through on a wrecking ball. I've got all these little green screen effects that happen. Like, she swings in behind me, and I got a xenophobe that'll crawl across on the screen. Well, I used to manually hit a button to do all that, and then I was like, I don't want to do this no more. So I made it to where the chat can control all that by spending their channel points.
Oh, nice.
And then if somebody donates bits, I have a bomber plane that flies over and blows up the stream.
Oh,
And then we got to rebuild the stream and come back. And
that's sick.
there's a whole
Dang.
Pepe dance party thing I do. And stuff.
Wow.
I don't even have to play video games anymore because we just sit there and have fun.
That's epic.
We're gonna have to get you to help us out on setting that up for over here. Some of
Yeah.
that stuff. We'll get a contract going.
Yeah, right.
Chip will draw it up.
Yeah,
We'll do a
right.
60-40 contract.
Dude, spice things up.
Hell yeah. dude.
That's really cool.
So what you got in the pipeline?
More of the same. More of the same. I don't know, man. I really don't have anything going. I mean, I help other people, and then I'm just concentrating on staying on my schedule. Twitch.tv/Diggs Darcy every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m.
damn.
Central.
Nice.
I stay on that
Streaming every
schedule.
week.
I mean,
the
3
dot,
times a
like,
week.
like
Yeah.
that's strict. You don't miss.
Yeah, no, don't miss. No.
Oh, shit.
Every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 7 p.m. Central, we go live. There's no end time, but, you know, we go live. We sit there. My old lady started coming and sitting with me, too. You know, she didn't understand any of this at first. She's like, all you do is sit in there and play video games all day. And I'm like, no, I don't. Really, I don't. And then she finally started sitting in with me, and she's like, wait, you made all this stuff, all this animated stuff and all that? And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm doing in here. And she
That's
was
really
like,
cool, man.
well, shit, I thought you were just in here goofing off all the time. I was like, no, I'm learning stuff.
I've flirted with doing it. I've streamed some games myself on Twitch, and I've watched channels and seen like the cool stuff you're talking about. You know, the animations and all the effects and the the incentives and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
the interactive stuff with the chat. And I think it's awesome. But that's cool as hell. You know,
There's
doing that.
people that I watch that just blew me away with the stuff that they do, and it makes me go, okay, let me push my shit up a little bit higher.
Yeah.
And then what happens though is, this is what I was telling somebody earlier today, is I teach everybody. I'll teach you whatever I know, and instead of them taking an artistic kind of approach to it, they just kind of like take exactly what I'm doing
Yeah.
and apply it to their stream, and I'm like, all right.
That's kind of how people start a lot of time. I imagine.
It pushes me to now
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do something better, because the next time you come back, I'm gonna have something similar, but
Yeah.
it's gonna be way better.
One step
So,
ahead.
Yeah.
Yep.
A friend of mine that got me into this. He's a cheeseburger. Jester.com is the same place, but he's a cheeseburger on his stream, and he's always like, look, when you're streaming, if you want to be good, if you want things to look good, you got to play chess. Everybody else is playing checkers. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Always thinking 2-3 steps ahead. So when somebody does take your idea, you already got something in your pocket just waiting to pull it out.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
It's like playing music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like you said, with wrestling, it all
Yeah.
comes into the same thing. It's all
Building
artistic
upon
and
the past, like you always got to take it a step further, constantly.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was trying to go into with this is, it's like you said, music. You got to figure out a way to separate yourself from the rest of what everybody else is doing.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you're just
That's
another
the point,
fucking
yeah.
boring platform for,
Yeah.
nobody to pay attention to.
30 seconds.
It's just like playing a show, speaking of one last thing I wanted to say about one of my favorite things about Superstar Fat Beats was you guys thrashed around, you and Christian thrashed around so fucking much, and I love that because like I loved doing that when we performed in Recover Pier, and I was like, finally another fucking band where it's like I'm not the only fucking jackass, fucking, throwing my guitar and fucking,
Well, the whole thing was now.
Not that anybody else wasn't doing that.
The whole thing was though, because I saw people for years do it, but the whole thing was
Kurt Cobain.
don't miss a note though. Be as spastic and wild as you want, but don't miss a note. That was me. But that's coming from that technical death metal and thrash and stuff that we did before. You do whatever you want. Don't miss a note. So when we got into Fat Beat, now the way we wrote things, there was areas that were very forgiving, and allowed a lot of that. I mean, like every show I was throwing that guitar behind my back and guitar spins and knee slides and jumping off of whatever, but it wasn't choreographed, but I knew where I could get away with fucking up. You know what I mean?
I loved it. I loved watching you guys, especially at Kirk's, because it's so fucking small.
It was so small.
Yeah.
That ripped that girl's knee. Oof. Still feel bad about that.
Man,
Throw back to that.
Dude, that's you skated by a $50,000 lawsuit right there.
Yeah. I'm glad she liked us. And Corey, one of my favorite ones of Corey is like he's and his eyes are getting bigger. He's still trying to sing the song, and he's like, "Dude, you just broke my nose." I think. My bad.
Damn.
Dude, that was wild.
I think Phil, did you see him like when you went on the sound? I think when you were on the sound, did you like see him there?
Yeah, he sat in with me.
Yeah.
We talked about it.
Hey, that's one you need to bring in here. He'll be all over this place. You'll need a moving camera for him.
That's a great idea. We're gonna write that down, Chip. Yeah, we're gonna get Red Cap in here.
Taking
For
notes.
sure.
Add it
Yeah,
to-
he'll come in. Yeah, that'd be great if we had him in.
Add it to the list.
And look, here's the thing too. Like as far as Superstar Fat Beat stories go, Corey was always the most sober one probably at that time. So, well, no, maybe not. Maybe not.
What was your favorite show in Superstar Fat Beat?
My favorite show in Superstar Fat Beat. Oh wow. That's a hard question. All right, so there was moments in Memphis that when we played up there, right up until the point where Christian blew out his ACL, that there was like there.
That doesn't sound like a good memory.
Well, before the blowout, I remember, and this is personal for me because we were on the floor and they had just waxed these nice square tile floors, and I went to do my knee slide, and since they were just waxed and very nice, I slid like all the way. You remember I used the wireless back then too.
Yeah.
I slid almost all the way into like the front door of the place, and it was far. And that was like, that was a really funny haha thing. No knees were harmed in that one. And the barking dog was one of my most favorites because my son was there at the time. He was little shit, man. He was so tiny, and he had a great time. So like sharing that moment with him and us too at that, that there was the VFW hall, I think it was. We played with Straight from the Path. It might have been Straight from the Path or something. We had a really good show out there, and I couldn't tell you who else played that. But as far as like the Kirk shows, Halloween, we all came in with the basketball uniforms. We had the Harlem Globetrotters theme playing.
Nice.
I think Josh had the big afro on, and we were wearing the real small basketball shorts like from the 70s, and we all came in there, and then the first song we played was America Fuck Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
The one and only time we ever performed it live, and Vincent Piscatano gave him a video camera before we started, and I was like, do not miss this. I don't care what you do. I will take you outside and kill you if you miss this. Hit this button now. Well, I walked in and I'm watching him. He's got it up to his eye and he's recording. I see the light on and everything. And then we get done with our set and I was like, dude, tell me you got it, please. He's like, yeah. And we opened up the camcorder to watch it back. It's nothing. There's no sound. There's no video. It's just a black screen. And I was like, I'm going to murder you right now. He's like, it's not my fault. So that was my favorite probably. And it sucks because we missed it.
Follow-up question. Did you film any of your shows?
There's
Chip. You look up on YouTube, Superstar Fat Beat.
There's some stuff. There's barking dog in there, I believe.
What was the probability of you guys playing with Dillinger? Because I know that.
Oh, 0.
Really?
0.
Seriously?
Yeah, I mean, dude, you couldn't get us out of Mississippi barely.
I don't think there was ever any time that I had a conversation with Christian
Oh,
and
yeah.
Dillinger didn't come up where everybody in Dillinger was on a first name basis with Christian.
If
or
we would
Christian
have
was
been
on a first
younger,
name basis with them.
if we would have been younger, if we'd have been still in our 20s at least, and not all of us almost married or married, it would have been a lot easier, for sure. We actually had a booking for the whiskey that we were gonna do a week out and a week back, and dude, we were just so fucking unorganized, dude. We were so unorganized, and we're married and kids and mortgages and car payments and Christian's single, you know,
I
and
know,
Corey's
but I mean,
single.
if you're fucking, Dillinger Escape Plan, and here's this dude who buys VIP to every fucking show, makes a point to come and say hi to you, and everybody in the fucking band knows that he has a band.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, what's the probability that that's going to come up and you're like, well, won't you like open up for us in fucking Tennessee or something?
If it would have happened, do you think I would have said no?
SSSR. What is that?
It's kind of one of those always, wonder what if, questions.
Oh, this might be
Yeah.
really loud.
Yeah,
too.
turn that video way down, man. Chip. Oh, look at that.
Oh, this is not this one.
Yeah, turn it way down.
Not this video.
Okay.
Not this
Is
one.
this a bad video?
No, it's it's not going to encapsulate the
The essence.
yeah. I think probably one of the best ones would be it'll say barking dog.
Oh, look at that.
Nice.
That's the Cypress Hall, I believe.
Oh yeah, I remember that
I remember
video.
that,
That was
yeah.
a good one.
Hey, turn the video, yeah.
There we go.
There he is. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Those glorious, beautiful dreads.
Holy shit. I forget how like physical this shit was.
Oh yeah, I used to thrash around back in the day on them shows.
I would
It kind of hurts to watch.
die. I would die now.
Watch your old videos back.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I can fucking do that without getting a headache.
Look, he's tired. He's breathing.
Oh, Corey was out of shape at
Oh
this
yeah,
point.
look at him.
This-
Yeah. Is he
this-
drinking whiskey or?
No, water. Yeah, he wouldn't drink during shows. While we were playing, he wouldn't drink.
Oh, good
Afterwards,
for him.
maybe.
Good for him.
But it was just, we were always loud. We were always rambunctious.
That was back when video cameras weren't that great.
Yeah, it was hard to get recordings and stuff
Yeah.
of shows
grainy.
back
Still a
then.
little grainy.
Anything from my original days is on a VHS rotting somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chip, bring that volume all the way down. He's probably drowning us out.
Well, I mean,
That's what we did.
that's fucking grindcore, baby.
Well, I think we got the wheels in motion for a Superstar Fat Beat reunion, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
This is when we played with I Wrestle a Bear. I Wrestled a Bear
Nice.
once.
Oh,
really?
I remember them.
One of their first shows.
Really?
What? Wow.
They had a drum machine sit on the drum riser. They didn't even have a drummer.
What?
Yeah, I remember that.
Dude, look at this. Look at this insanity. Look at that. I'm getting tired of watching it.
Heavy metal aerobics.
Leg
Yeah.
This is leg day, arm day, shoulder day.
Neck day.
Yeah.
Oh.
And if you guys remember the Cypress, the stairs,
Oh,
steep
yeah.
ass stairs.
Yeah. It was up there.
Oh lord. Oh, to be 30 again, or 30 something.
So do you think you guys ever will get back?
How many times are you gonna ask me that?
Do you think you'll ever get a? I know you said you're gonna
Kurt
work on the
Cobain's
mini
persistent.
project,
Yeah, I mean,
but like
nothing
playing,
live.
playing something
Nothing
like
live.
that, like aggressive live again.
Nah. I wouldn't be able to put what I want into it. So you know what I mean. It would be. it would mean a lot to somebody, I'm sure, maybe, but it would be too restrictive for what I would want to do. You know what I mean? If I can't do it the way I want to do it, then I don't want to do it at all. And that might be greedy, but so.
Let me ask you this: would you ever do like a full, like either death metal or Dillinger Escape Plan Grind type recording album?
That's where the possibilities come into play.
Yeah,
That's
I
where the
mean, playing live, doing the band's one whole deal, but like you should definitely do a recording.
Yeah, that's part of the plan. Like I said, I was more towards like the neurosis side of it, because then I know I can pull off what I can imagine in my head, you know, and there may be room for, like, I wanted to do a black metal album still, you know what I mean? I still want to do a black metal album. That's always been something I've wanted to do. And I mean, who doesn't, you know, name somebody that hasn't made a solo black metal album,
Yeah,
you know,
right.
when it comes down to it. You know, everybody should have one once in their
Gotta
life.
do that
and,
project.
And that's always been like a real love of mine, is black metal, like old school black metal, you know.
Yeah.
Mayhem is, and
That's a cool
all
thing.
all of that stuff. I just love it, man. You know, Celtic Frost, man. You know,
Oh.
Old Man Gloom, Old Man Doom. You know,
Yeah.
Emperor, dude.
Yeah,
remember,
Emperor.
remember the first time sitting down listening to what was it? The Anthem to the Woken at Dusk.
Yeah.
And the first real symphonic kind of thing that I heard that wasn't Cradle of
so
Filth,
nuts.
and was just blown away and was like, oh my God, these guys are fucking bad.
Mhm.
So I mean, yeah, there's room for entertaining that idea of something.
I was kind of
Fast.
surprised that nothing came out of the print shop with you and Carrie and Christian all being in the same space, like, you know, with even like when it was slow, like
Yeah.
having some downtime and like having like a drum set and some guitar, because I know Christian kept his rig there, and I always thought that maybe something would kind of spur from that, but
Yeah, no, I mean, dude, we usually stay so busy, and it was so damn hot in there, and you know, by the time if we weren't working, we didn't want to be in there, so. And you know, we were all in. We had a lot going on, and you know, I was trying to balance working and doing the gigs, and
yeah.
you know, like I said, my old lady, she was full-time college student at the time, and then Kerry, you know, he was getting into brewing and stuff a lot, and he was doing Killhammer, and I believe he was playing bass in Perceptions of Torment at the same time. And we bounced around the ideas all the time, like when Josh come into town, it's like, oh, we'll try to learn, you know, figure out if Ray can figure out, you know, 3 songs of Superstar Fat Beat to play, and da-da-da-da-da. I mean, that's all it was, just a bunch of bros sitting around. Glory days, let them pass me by, glory
Oh,
days.
God.
Yeah, man.
Well, thank
Rock and
you.
roll, man.
Yeah, Diggs, you
Thank
got
you for
any,
answering
It's a
all
good
my
way to-
fucking Superstar Fat Beat. I don't have any more, I promise.
Diggs, you got anything you want to plug?
No. Watch the show. Watch this show right
Dude,
here.
this has been a
Oh,
great
yeah.
fucking
Yeah, this is fantastic.
deep dive.
Thank you for coming on, by the way.
Thank you
This
for
is
having me.
great.
I appreciate
yeah,
it.
I mean, we're early on in this thing,
Absolutely.
but yeah, this
Yeah.
is great.
I
this,
love
this
to
is,
talk.
This is
It's been
exactly
fun.
what I was
Real
hoping
fun.
for. Because like the other podcasts going on, they don't, you know, they briefly talk to musicians. They don't really get into their past. They don't like really get into where they come from, where paths cross. This is the opportunity to fucking, you know, sit down and be like, look, give us the background, give us the story,
Yeah.
tell us your life changing.
Right.
You know,
If you-
tell us about the metal in your fucking elbow.
Yeah, right,
You know,
right.
And if
that
a
makes
guy
you
from
metal.
if a guy from 18 years ago you played guitar with, and you got drunk and you slapped him in the face, and you haven't seen him since, and you want to say, hey man,
What?
I didn't mean to do that. You know, this is the place to do it.
That sounds like a story.
Yeah. Stay tuned for episode 3.
Nice.
Anyway, we're gonna wrap it
Yeah.
up. Big thanks to Diggs Darcy for coming on,
Awesome.
aka Ray,
Thank you
aka
for
an
having me.
extraordinary. Yes, fantastic. If you own a bar, book him for a gig. Watch his Twitch channel Mondays, Tuesdays,
Wednesday,
Wednesdays,
Thursday.
Thursdays, 7 p.m.
Every fucking night.
He's a pro. He's staying on it.
Chip Lozana running the production. Thank you for being
Look
here.
at this
Yes.
shit. Look at y'all playing Unity Print. Holy crap.
Oh, yeah. That
Oh,
was,
I remember this.
that
Yes,
was
yes,
another
yes,
one of my
yes.
favorite ones, too.
I think my head might be in this video. Yes.
I think I passed out after this one from heat exhaustion.
Yeah, those shows were, they were great, but so fucking hot.
This is right before the dreads came off. Oh, middle of one of these songs, it wrapped around the headstock of my guitar so much, and I couldn't get it.
Oh no.
Good times. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Carnage.
I remember everybody wanted to dance, but there was no room.
You had to like go out back after your set just to cool off. Did you ever go to any of those Little House shows?
The original Little House or
like
the Second Coming?
No, that was.
I was at the original.
Yeah, the original, like the little tiny.
Left Hand Black and stuff like that.
So
Yeah.
when they were doing this was the only other time I had ever been to shows where it felt that closeness.
Yeah, yeah. And these are, I mean, this
R.I.P. Eric.
Man, so many.
My guy on bass has got a cigarette in his mouth, and that's the coolest thing I've seen. all
That's
day.
Carrie. That's Carrie Thibodeau.
Oh shit! Okay.
Who doesn't smoke anymore? He's cigarette free.
Dude, he's holding that cigarette in his mouth, so cavalier. So good. Hey, no doubt, I'm listening to these guitar parts. They're on, dude.
Yeah.
Like, they're not just like strumming away.
Yeah.
These guitar parts are on. Listen to that. It's not funny. Sounds really good.
No, I was like thinking like here we are trying to sign off. And
Yep,
it's like,
we did.
I know,
Crossed
yeah,
up
we
the-
just-
Jim plays this shit. And it's like,
Let's go.
oh.
This needs to be part of our show, playing some videos here. And like, we're telling the stories, you can see them. Like, like we were saying, it was harder to capture stuff at the early 2000s.
So you said like you would write a song and Christian write a song, but you would never sit down and actually like collaborate. So like,
Not really.
He would just show you his parts, and then you'd write your own parts to his.
Yeah. When he would like literally it would be like, here's what I'm gonna play. What are you gonna do now? Okay.
On drums right there, who is that?
Josh Ross
Okay.
from Bloodshine Feed,
Okay.
That Yellow Bastard.
Okay. Dude, you know what I would give to go to a show like this right now?
Yeah.
Just a sweaty, dark room is what it looks like.
That's your studio. It's in the backyard.
Yeah, I know.
Make that happen.
I can't.
House shows.
Nice outro there. That was awesome.
Unreal.
Right on.
And Joel Stepp finally views the video right at the end here.
Joel.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Anyway, are we wrapping it up, Mitchell?
Yeah.
Thanks, Dick
Thanks for
Dawson.
thanks for coming
Thanks,
on.
Chip.
man.
That's
Thanks,
what she
Mitchell.
Thanks so
Phil.
much.
Incredible. Episode 2 in the books. Signing off.
Right on.
Thank you, guys. Episode 3 next week, Sundays, 7 p.m. Tune in. Twitch, YouTube, KrohnKast, KrohnKore. Bye-bye.